differing points of view on current political topics. And due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It's Friday. We made it to the weekend, everybody. I got Evan here with me in the world headquarters, lightly screening your calls at 844-967-2789. Big Fancy on set, on location. You know, he is part of the Screen Actors Guild. Today he's doing, his side hustle, if you will. So anyways, we permit him to do so, but we miss him. So, get back on Monday, big guy. But you can be a part. And Dom's going to be a part. He joins at 4 o'clock. Dom been joining earlier. I know the people like it when, Dom and Crudy have a little brouhaha in the afternoon. So the happy hour at 4 with Dom and the happy hour at 5. And Khary Pennebaker is going to join us about 4:30 Central. And Khary, we know Khary. He's run for Congress, and he has a prominent role in trying to push gun. I hate to characterize his advocacy in the gun field, Mothers Against Guns, whatever it's called. He's been a big part, and he lost a parent to gun violence. So I've known Khary through his advocacy and his candidacy, and he is also a Joe Biden elector in the state of Wisconsin. But if you'll recall, we've talked about this quite a bit, the alternative slate, the fraudulent electors. Well, as a valid elector, if someone's trying to undermine me, I'm going to have a little issue with that. And Khary is a plaintiff in a lawsuit trying to hold the fraudulent Trump electors civilly responsible for their actions. So we're going to have the plaintiff, Khary Pennebaker, our friend, 4:30. Hope you stick around. And, Evan, I want to start today talking a little bit about the January 6th and a lying congressman, at least lying through omission. Here's what I mean. Rep. Barry Loudermilk. We talked about him recently, yesterday. Loudermilk of Georgia. And what did he say? Oh, I never gave any insurrectionist tours at the U.S. Capitol. That's what he claimed. And the January 6th committee said, but we've got you on videotape. We've got the evidence. And now there's sort of a backpedal from the congressman, sort of a different story he's putting forth today. A GOP lawmaker acknowledges letting people into the Capitol complex the day before the January 6th attack. Well, that is completely a change of tune. House Republican lawmaker acknowledged on Thursday bringing a constituent family into the Capitol complex a day before rioters breached the Capitol on January 6th. After the select committee investigating the attack called on him to address evidence that he'd brought a group inside the Capitol office building. Hours earlier on Thursday, the January 6th committee chair, Benny Thompson, and vice chair, Liz Cheney, requested an interview with Rep. Barry Loudermilk, Republican from Georgia, next week, contending that its review of evidence preceding the riot contradicted claims by him and other GOP lawmakers that no such tours had taken place. Now, the reporting at Politico points out, Loudermilk did not explain why he didn't disclose the tour over the past 16 months, nor did he indicate whether he would appear, but he emphasized in a joint statement with Rep. Rodney Davis, Republican from Illinois. And, here's the cover fire they give themselves, that no member of the group he led has been investigated or charged in connection to January 6th. So sure, we gave some tours the day before, some reconnaissance missions, maybe. And sure, we didn't tell you about them for 16 months. But, we vetted. Nobody was charged. The facts speak for themselves, Davis and Loudermilk said. Yeah, they kind of do. Only I don't think you, think they say the same thing that I think the facts might say. No place that the family went on the 5th was breached on the 6th. The family did not enter the Capitol grounds on the 6th. Well, okay. But questions about whether GOP lawmakers or aides led tours of the Capitol complex the day before rioters breached has raised urgent alarms. In the days after January 6th, when a group of Democrats contended they'd witnessed suspicious groups of visitors. The presence of unknown visitors would have been particularly notable at the time because the Capitol complex was closed to public tours as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Despite the closure, some lawmakers and staff broadcast into the complex under the guise of official business anyways. But no evidence has emerged to support the initial Democratic allegations since the early days after the breach of the Capitol. So why didn't he tell anybody? I'm just asking. Here is another related, similar disclosure. New news. I think it's news. Over at the Washington Post. An exclusive, as Emma Brown describes it here. Ginny Thomas, you know her, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence's wife. Well, she pressed Arizona lawmakers to help reverse Trump's loss. And there's email record thereof. So we're getting all sorts of disclosures on a Friday news dump. Loudermilk now acknowledges, yeah, I gave tours, but not those tours, not those kind of people. But I didn't tell you about it for the last 16 months. And then we find out today, and there's more breaking news on this very topic. John Eastman, the lawyer, the conspiring lawyer, well, there's new evidence that he was directly conspiring with the former president. And we'll tell you about that in just a minute. But let's get to the Supreme Court Justice's wife, Ginny Thomas. Here is the newest Virginia Ginny Thomas, not Jimmy, probably. Her friends call her Jimmy. The conservative activist and wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas pressed Arizona lawmakers after the 2020 election to set aside Joe Biden's popular vote victory and choose a clean slate of electors, according to emails obtained by the Washington Post. Clean slate, not the Biden one. So let's just go with the clean slate. The email sent by Ginny Thomas to a pair of lawmakers on November 9, 2020, so right after the election, argued that the legislators needed to intervene because the vote had been marred by fraud. Though she did not mention either candidate by name, the context was clear. Just days after media organizations called the race for Biden in Arizona and nationwide, Thomas urged lawmakers to stand strong in the face of political and media pressure. She told the lawmakers the responsibility to choose electors, and here's again a quote from Ginny Thomas, was yours and yours alone, and said they have the power to fight back against fraud. Again, all quotes from the email sent by a Supreme Court Justice's wife to sitting state lawmakers in Arizona, encouraging them to overturn the electoral results. Wipe the slate clean, shake the Etch-a-Sketch. Now, Thomas sent the emails via an online platform designed to make it easy to send pre-written form emails to multiple elected officials, according to a review of the emails obtained under the state's public record laws. The messages show that Thomas, a staunch supporter of Donald Trump, you may not know that, but she is a staunch supporter of Donald Trump, was deeply involved in the effort to overturn Biden's win than has been previously reported. In sending the emails, Thomas's role in the extraordinary scheme to keep Trump in office by substituting the will of legislatures for the will of voters. And Thomas's actions also underline concerns about potential conflicts of interest that her husband has already faced and may face in the future in deciding cases related to attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Yeah, what a conundrum Clarence Thomas must face. Under what, recusal? Is he going to do the right thing? Of course not. Of course not. He has not done so up until now. I'm going to remind you, he was the lone one vote in the 8-1 vote on the Eastman, right? Or was it Eastman? We'll come back. I'll think about that one. Don't want to get it wrong. I know he voted to shield his wife's text messages to Mark Meadows. I know that for sure. I'll check on the rest. Those questions. Well, maybe this fine journalism here at the Post, maybe it will answer some of these questions in real time. Those questions intensified in March when the Post and CBS News obtained text messages that Jenny Thomas sent in late 2020 to Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, pressing him to reverse the election. The emails were sent to Russell Rusty Bowers, a veteran legislator and Speaker of the Arizona House, and Shauna Bullock, who was first elected to the chamber in 2018 and served on the House Elections Committee during the 2020 session. Now, here is what she wrote. Again, this quoting Jenny Thomas. Article 2 of the United States Constitution gives you an awesome responsibility to choose your state's electors. Read the November 9th email. Please take action to ensure that a clean slate of electors is chosen. Now, Thomas's name also appears on an email to two representatives on December 13th, the day before members of the Electoral College met to cast their votes and seal Biden's victory. Before you choose your state's electors, consider what will happen to the nation we all love if you don't stand up and lead. It included a link to a video of a man delivering a message meant for swing state lawmakers, urging them to put things right and not give in to cowardice, like Mike Pence did. You only have hours to act, said the speaker, who is not identified in the video. And by December, the claim that legislators should override the popular vote in key states and appoint Trump electors was also being pushed publicly by John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani. But Eastman was a clerk to Clarence Thomas. And we're going to tell you a little more about John Eastman a little bit later in this hour. Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday edition. I got some problems with you people. And there are the grievances here. 844-967-2789. Talked about Jenny Thomas, January 6th, and lots of other topics when you call.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? You can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Cardinal put out these weird, sad videos interviewing incapacitated elders in their nursing homes that don't have the ability to say, don't use me as your political prop.
If they are what you say they are, then you shouldn't be doing it how you did it.
Yes, it was the kids using the parents as props. Well, my old man hasn't talked since 76. Of course, he would have voted for Trump. That's the evidence. Videos. People that can't talk.
It is wrong. It's absolutely wrong.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
They say singing can help you remember things, so here's some tips for parents out there during these tough times.
Number 1,
Make sure your kids wash their hands for 20 seconds after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside.
2,
Virtual play dates, social and physical distancing can help save lives.
3,
Tell them they're safe and show your love and pride. Yes, we'll get through this together. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday edition. Always better when you join us at 844-967-2789. Got a fine guest, Khary Pennebaker, at 4:30. Dominic's joining at 4. That's his new custom. Hope you noticed. And I got a little more breaking news. I'm laying out my grievances early, making time for yours. Jenny Thomas, the newest news, the exclusive emails that the Washington Post is reporting on. Jenny Thomas, Clarence Thomas's, the little missus. Apparently, she was actively writing emails to state lawmakers. It wasn't just a couple of fanciful texts to Mark Meadows. We knew about that. But now there's evidence she was pressuring state lawmakers to wipe the slate clean. Throughout the Joe Biden electors, do the right thing, as she would perceive it to be. It's a little troubling. Her husband is on the court. Her husband has made rulings prior to try and shield, the text messages of Mark Meadows that just happened to include his wife's text messages. And I got to think somewhere along this January 6th thing, someone's going to end up before the Supreme Court. And the Clarence Thomas, because, he's got a strong moral conscience. He'll do the right thing and recuse, right? Right? Well, one of his former clerks, John Eastman, Thomas's former clerk, well, there's some new news about him as well. This from the Politico. Eastman provides new details of Trump's direct role in legal effort to overturn the election. Maybe I buried the lead today. Maybe this should be the lead. The former president played a direct role in the scheme. So the conspiracy, it was an active conspiracy. It involved the president. How do we know? We've got handwritten notes from the former. Let me read a little of the reporting. Kyle Cheney at Politico. John Eastman, the attorney who architected Donald Trump's last ditch legal effort, let's call it a Hail Mary or a Green Bay sweep. The last ditch legal effort to overturn the 2020 election revealed Friday that he routinely communicated with Trump either directly or via 6 conduits during the chaotic weeks that preceded the January 6th attack on the Capitol. In a late-night court filing urging a federal judge to maintain the confidentiality of his work for Trump, executive privilege, attorney-client privilege? Well, let's not forget the judge out in California, the federal judge, has already said of Eastman's prior work, well, it's crime, fraud, exclusion. Because when you're conspiring with your client to commit a crime or a fraud, you can't declare attorney-client privilege. So we know where this will end. And it's kind of damning. Anyways, the late-night court filing, Eastman provided the clearest insight yet into a blizzard of communications between Trump, his top aides, his campaign lawyers, and an army of outside attorneys who were working to help reverse the outcome in a handful of states won by Joe Biden. The filing also describes the direct role of Trump himself in developing strategy, detailing, and here's the direct quote from Politico's author, 2 handwritten notes from the former President Trump about information that he thought might be useful for the anticipated litigation. Well, those are some compromising notes, a couple of footers. Those notes are among the documents Eastman is seeking to shield via attorney-client privilege. Eastman said he should also speak directly with Trump by phone throughout his legal challenges to the election. So he was talking constantly with the former president in real time while they were doing the scheming. And we've got handwritten notes from the former president on this very topic, this coup plot. I would say the coup plot thickens. Eastman described these contacts and records as part of an effort to prevent the January 6th Select Committee from accessing 600 emails that describe his efforts to build Trump's legal gambit to reverse the 2020 election outcome. And when that failed, urged state legislators, kind of like Jenny Thomas was building up the urgency to do, urged state legislatures to simply overturn the results themselves. He argues that the documents are protected by attorney-client and attorney work product privileges that Congress has no business probing. even as the panel investigates the circumstances that led a mob of Trump supporters to attack the Capitol. Eastman is also urging the judge, U.S. District Judge David Carter of California, to shield dozens of contacts with state legislators, some of whom he advised to appoint slates of pro-Trump electors. Well, I'd remind everyone, right here in the state of Wisconsin, that's how they did it, right? Andrew Hitt, Bob Spindell, a lot of Republican Party officials, county chairs, stuff like that, Wisconsin elections commissioner. Hell, Hitt was the chair of the entire Republican Party in the state of Wisconsin. And at the direction, and Spindell's been very clear, he's spoken to reporters about this, at the direction of the Trump campaign, they formed these, slate of illegal, fraudulent electors. They followed the plan. But Eastman is also urging the judge, U.S. District Judge David Carter of California, to shield dozens of contacts with the individual state legislators, some of whom he advised to appoint slates of pro-Trump electors, overriding the certified results of the popular vote in their states. Now, it doesn't specifically say it here in this text, but I got to believe some of those calls went into Wisconsin. I mean, Eastman was in the state of Wisconsin like a month ago, encouraging the Assembly Speaker to overturn the election of 2020 in 2022. Eastman provides few details about the White House officials and attorneys with whom he was communicating, leaving their names out of the filing, but several of the attorneys filed declarations supporting Eastman's descriptions of his work for Trump. Those declarations filed under seal with the court include testaments from Kurt Olson, the lead lawyer in his Supreme Court lawsuit that Trump backed to overturn the election results, as well as Bruce Marks, a Pennsylvania lawyer who worked on Trump's election litigation. And in making his case to Carter, Eastman provided an overview of legal apparatus that mobilized to keep Trump in power after the election was called for Biden. Come back, more devils, Friday grievances.
Trace the call. It's coming from inside the house.
Talk radio made for the 99% on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Listen to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for progressive news talk radio. Tune in for the political party that is the Devil's Advocates Radio Show every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Join Native Roots Radio from 6 to 7 p.m. for updates about Native news, culture, and activism. The 7 o'clock hour is for local programming, including the Paul Revere Show on Mondays, Busted Pencils on Tuesdays, and the Up North Podcast on Wednesdays.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio.
Coronavirus update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks rebounded from earlier big losses, finishing mixed. The Dow finished up 8 points. North Korea says about 10% of its population has become sick. At least 65 people have died.
After admitting to an Omicron outbreak, following more than 2 years of claiming to be virus-free, the North says an unidentified fever has been explosively spreading across the country since late April. Its anti-epidemic center has since released fever tallies each morning, but they don't include any COVID-19 figures. Some observers say the North must acknowledge the COVID-19 outbreak, as it can't hide the highly contagious viral spread, and that authorities are underreporting mortalities to try to show that its pandemic response is effective, while the country lacks test kits to confirm positives. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
A group of 7 wealthy democracies announced plans to strengthen early warning systems to detect infectious diseases with pandemic potential. I'm Ed Donahue.
Okay, let's start on unloading the sod over here.
The grass is always greener when Haruka's Lawn Care does the mowing.
And then we want to get the flower bed started before lunch.
They need a new landscaping designer to keep their budding business growing.
Can we double check the incline here? This one needs to drain this way.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Look, it's heartburn. It's going to try and ruin our vacation.
Don't worry. I packed Prilosec OTC. One pill in the morning prevents excess acid production that can cause frequent heartburn.
Nice. Aloha, heartburn.
Block heartburn from your summer bucket list with Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Don't wait until you have heartburn to start Prilosec OTC. Kick your summer off right and look for Prilosec OTC at Walmart or Walmart.com.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. On Thursday, Republicans in the U.S. Senate, including Wisconsin's Ron Johnson, blocked debate on a proposal to increase funding for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund to provide relief to small businesses across Wisconsin and the nation. The vote effectively killed the legislation that would have provided an additional $40 billion for relief for businesses hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic. Analysis shows close to 3,000 Wisconsin restaurants will now be left out of the Restaurant Revitalization Fund relief efforts. UW Health is offering nurses $100 more per hour than their regular base wages as a part of an internal agency by the healthcare provider in an effort to address the nursing shortage the healthcare field is facing. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation is scheduling evening ramp closures surrounding the I-3990 and the Beltline interchange beginning next week and encourages drivers to be aware of the changing traffic patterns. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday edition. Airing of the grievances is allowed. 844-967-2789. Dominic will join me at 4 o'clock Central Time. We got Khary Pennebaker joining us at 4:30 Central Time. And the happy hour, we're doing this all the way till the quitting time. But the lead today is all kinds of breaking news on the January 6th. Some small, some larger. We've got new news that Jenny Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice's wife, Clarence's wife, was actively seeking to persuade Arizona lawmakers to overturn and wipe the slate clean. And we've got the email evidence. And her husband's former clerk, John Eastman, who apparently was very involved in trying to overturn the election, incite a coup d'etat, both procedural and perhaps otherwise. Well, he was also very channeled in with the former president. We know because the former president left a couple of handwritten notes, and according to Eastman, they communicated at length frequently via phone. And here's more from the reporting at Politico. For example, in the Supreme Court case, Texas versus Pennsylvania, Eastman noted that 10 of the attorneys included on the communications, in addition to Dr. Eastman, were working on behalf of then President Trump or his campaign committee directly. And the other 3 were assisting Dr. Eastman separately. In addition, 21 of the documents contain work product as well as attorney-client privilege communications transmitted to then President Trump through his executive assistant. It's a lot of communications. And this shielding effort, to my opinion, predicated on the prior rulings of this very same federal judge, the whole crime fraud exemption, you can't shield the documents. Well, you can't shield these documents either. That will be, at least the position I'm staking out. The emails in question are all among 90,000 pages of correspondence Eastman sent from his account at Chapman University, where he worked during his bid to help Trump overturn the election. The select committee subpoenaed Chapman for the documents, and Eastman sued to prevent the school from complying. But Carter, again, that's the federal judge, has rallied to the select committee's cause, repeatedly rejecting Eastman's attempts to scuttle the panel's demands. He forced Eastman to undertake a review of all his emails and turn over tens of thousands of pages. And in a March ruling that continues to resonate, Carter held that Eastman and Trump, more likely than not, that's the direct quote from the federal judge, engaged in a criminal conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election by obstructing Congress's ability to count electoral votes. He ruled that Eastman's effort to pressure Mike Pence to single-handedly overturn the 2020 election crossed legal lines, particularly as he urged Pence to attempt to avoid getting the courts involved. Now, Eastman argues in his new filing that Carter's earlier ruling was flawed and that multiple attorneys in Trump's orbit had genuine belief the election results were illegitimate. Fine lawyers like Rudy and Sidney Powell. I continue. That belief, he said, should not be the basis for a finding of criminality, even if it turned out to be wrong. So if you get really, really bad legal advice and they tell you, oh, maybe it's not illegal, keep doing it. Yeah, you can do it. And they turn out to be wrong. If your lawyer advises you, try it. What's the harm? And trying to overturn the duly elected presidency of the United States? A little coup d'etat against the vice president democracy? That might be bad legal advice. And if you accepted that bad legal advice as genuine, I think you put yourself in a compromised position. Mr. Eastman, Jenny Thomas, Donald Trump, a little bit more. Eastman argues in the new filing that Carter's earlier ruling was flawed. We talked about that. And while most of Eastman's Friday filing pertains to Trump's broad legal effort, Eastman also described a set of far lower profile contacts. And there's some more interesting news here, so listen close. Eastman also described a set of far lower profile contacts he's seeking to shield from the select committee, including a dozen emails he appears to have exchanged with Foxy News host Mark Levin. Mark Levin, some of you are like, who's Mark Levin? Righty-whitey talk radio host, attorney, Fox News host Mark Levin. Now, Eastman doesn't identify Levin by name, but describes his contacts with a figure he describes as a dual role attorney, one who is also a member of the media. Eastman says this figure is an individual who, in addition to his role as a radio talk show host, is an attorney, former longtime president and current board chairman of a public interest law firm, and also a former fellow at the Claremont Institute. Now, Levin has held all of these roles and has also long been an Eastman ally. In fact, the New York Times reported that Trump first became aware of Eastman after he appeared in a segment on Levin's show in 2019. Now, here is an argument being made by Eastman's attorney, Charles Burnham. Dr. Eastman has collaborated on litigation matters with him in the past, and the 12 documents at issue here addressed to his personal email address rather than his media address were communications in that capacity. So Eastman claims that he's getting legal advice from Mark Levin. That's my understanding. Levin could not immediately be reached for comment. The select committee had previously described other Foxy commentators' contacts related to Trump's actions around January 6th, revealing communications from host Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Brian Kilmeade, pleading with then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows to get Trump to directly call off the rioters. The committee had previously requested an interview with Hannity, but it's unclear if he has responded. And Eastman is seeking to shield 50 emails reflecting contacts with state lawmakers and GOP officials who he said, apparently Eastman says, sought out his legal representation. In what capacity, Mr. Eastman, Dr. Eastman, Attorney Eastman? They sought out your representation. I find that implausible. These, a quote from his lawyer, again, Eastman's lawyer, these 50 documents include attorney-client privileged communications with 9 different clients or potential clients who were seeking Dr. Eastman's legal advice regarding constitutional authority of state legislators to deal with election illegality and fraud. So they're hiring Eastman to advise them on something that never really occurred. And therefore, he should be able to shield his communications with these prospective state lawmakers that perhaps he contacted on behalf of the Trump campaign and said, hey, would you be willing to wipe the slate clean like Jenny Thomas has been asking you to? Here we go. 7 were themselves state legislatures. 1 was a party committee woman and also an agent of one of the legislators. And the last was a citizen coordinating information sessions for state legislators. According to Eastman's filing, confidential communications between an attorney and his clients are protected, even if unrelated to litigation. And last week, emails from another Eastman account at the University of Colorado Boulder, where Eastman worked as a visiting professor, revealed direct contacts between Eastman and Pennsylvania lawmaker Russ Diamond. Eastman advised Diamond on crafting a resolution to replace Biden's electors with Trump's to justify it by simply retabulating the popular vote to put Trump on top. You did the math wrong. Just do the math differently. Just add it up differently and tell the people that Trump won. That's his legal advice. This Dr. Eastman. Quite sound. Yeah, I try not to do math on the radio, but if that is your legal advice, basically just add up the columns wrong and tell the people Trump won, and that will be your justification. And you're trying to shield communications with Mark Levin because, you just need some really good legal advice from a Fox News host. And what sort of legal advice would he be giving the lawyer that would result in the lawyer giving legal advice to effectively just throw out the will of the voters in these represented states? So anyways, I think this is some exciting breaking news. Maybe I'm the only one. What's your opinion, folks? 844-967-2789. I guess I'm just asking for a friend, but I'm also that friend. And you, Evan, want to keep you busy as well here on a Friday afternoon. Don't want you going to sleep on me. Evan, until the phones start lighting up like a Christmas tree. Got big plans this weekend? Going to storm the castle, anything like that?
Absolutely not.
No storming of the castle?
Nope. We almost made it to the protest last week. Almost.
Close only counts as horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yeah, I don't brag about it.
Let me pivot a little bit. January 6th, one more headline before the callers start rolling in. What's wrong with people trying to clean up their desks on a Friday afternoon? You're listening. 844-967-2789. Turning to my friends at the Raw story. Roger Stone. He's the guy with the tricky Dick Nixon tattoo, big old tramp stamp in the middle of his back. Well, Roger Stone is at the center of a leaked group chat among January 6th insurrectionists. Now, I had seen the video. There were documentarians. I believe they were Danish, and they were following Roger Stone around. And I believe at one point, and they weren't supposed to be filming him. And he's like, if Trump does not give a blanket pardon to everyone, he's going to prison effectively. We all are. That's what he said to my memory of the circumstances, on his drive to out of town on Biden's inauguration day. And they were filming him saying this effectively. Well, here's the newest, at least as reported over at the Raw story. According to information provided by one of the participants, conservative political gadfly Roger Stone, I think he likes to call himself dirty trickster Roger Stone, was at the center of a group chat named after him that included now indicted militia members who participated in the January 6th insurrection. Man, when you're on group chat with a bunch of seditious conspirators, those that have been feloniously charged in a Capitol insurrection riot, and the group chat's named after you, that could be a little damning. I'm just saying, sort of bad association. And while there have been reports that the supporter of Donald Trump was seen in the company of Oath Keepers acting as his bodyguards, the existence of the so-called FOS, Friends of Stone group chat may shed more light on the planning and activities of the riot that forced lawmakers from both sides of the aisle to flee for their lives. And according to a report from the New York Times, members of the chat included a rogues gallery of right-wing figures, 47 in all, including Owen, I want to make sure I get these names right. Owen Schroyer, the right-hand man of conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, Enrique Tarrio, the one-time chairman of the Proud Boys, Stuart Rhodes, the leader of the Oath Keepers militia. At the Times, Alan Fuhrer wrote, while the origins of the group chat remain somewhat obscure, Friends of Stone, FOS, has existed since at least 2019, when Mr. Stone was indicted in connection with the Russian investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller. According to Mr. Santilli, not to be confused with our good friend James Santilli, Pete Santilli, a veteran right-wing radio host, said Stone had hosted an encrypted app Signal and was the kind of safe space where pro-Trump figures in politics and media, many of whom were banned from social media, could get together and trade links and stories about their mutual friend. One must assume they're talking about Donald Trump. The primary reason for the chat was to have a place for supporters to share stuff. You drop a link and everyone shares it to their non-traditional channels because they've been banned from traditional channels. And oh yeah, they were apparently planning an insurrection on group chat. Come back, air some grievances. It's Friday, time to do so. 844-967-2789.
COVID-19 vaccines are starting to become available across the country. Now is the time to get informed. Get the latest information at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. A message brought to you by the Ad Council and the CDC.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can. But it's just as important to take time for yourself. AARP can help. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Douglas LaFollette, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Good to be here, Mike. Across the country, in most every state, the Secretary of State is the person who is in charge of the elections. And we've seen lots of hanky-panky in Florida back during the Al Gore elections, in Ohio and Georgia and Arizona and Michigan.
We appreciate you coming around, sir.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
If you love them enough to barely sleep, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. The Devil's Advocates.
Devil's Advocates TGF. We'll get to the phones momentarily at 844-967-2789. Sort of a finish-up thought from this Raw story piece, sort of an annotation of the Times coverage. But the report continues. After Mr. Trump's defeat, Friends of Stone, that's the group chat with all the sort of righty MAGA unsavories, the Friends of Stone seem to assume another purpose, as Mr. Stone found himself in the middle of an accelerating Stop the Steal movement devised to challenge the results of the election. The Washington Post, citing footage from a Danish documentary film crew, That was following Mr. Stone said that in early 2020, he asked his aides to direct those involved to monitor the chat for developments, adding, in recent weeks, the Department of Justice has expanded its investigation of the riot from those physically attacked, at the Capitol to those who were not at the building, but may have helped to shape or guide the violence. Investigators appear to be interested in finding any links between organizers who planned the pro-Trump rallies and the right-wing militants who took part in the assault. And the Times-Fuhrer added, the group chat's membership list includes several people that fit that description. 844-967-2789. I wonder if that means Roger Stone or maybe Alex Jones or, some of their friends and family. Joe from Madison, welcome back. How you doing, Joe?
Good. I think we've come up with a T-shirt slogan for the next several months. Just retabulate. Don't like a result? Just retabulate. Could you go over again for folks who may not have heard this, where this expression came into the parlance here when we're speaking of January 6th, and what this kind of means when someone just says, just retabulate. Don't like it? Retabulate.
Well, according to the reporting at Politico, John Eastman, Dr. John Eastman, as he's been described, apparently he's got a doctorate, Eastman, who was acting as a Trump lawyer and had multiple communications with, the former president, including handwritten notes and lots of phone communications by his own admission, effectively is trying to shield emails from the committee to state lawmakers. And some of the emails came from an account where he was a visiting professor, I believe the University of Colorado Boulder. And in those emails, he basically told a Pennsylvania state lawmaker, just throw out the math, just retabulate and just make Trump the winner and use that as justification. And let's not forget, Trump lost the state of Pennsylvania, like 80,000 votes, but use that as the justification to wipe the slate clean of electors, effectively recast, towards the fraudulent Trump electors. Because if you're ignoring the will of the voter, who cares about the math by any means necessary, Joe?
Just retabulate. Just, count it to the way that you like.
Go find me 11,780 votes. You know what I mean? That's basically the same logic that Donald Trump used in Georgia when he was threatening Raffensperger, and it's caught on tape. He's effectively telling them, just go make it happen. I don't care if the math said I lost. I don't lose until someone declares me the loser. And of course, he wants all these lawyers to declare him the winner through any means necessary.
Just lie. In other words, just lie.
Well, if it's lie, that's the least of their crimes. Lying's no big deal
true.
Relative to what's being alleged here, Joe.
Yeah, true. Very true. Thanks, Crudy. Keep going. It's fascinating times.
It is, Joe. And, often little explosive headlines sneak out on a Friday. That's why we do a show. Joe, have a great weekend. Keep going down the phones. 844-967-2789. I think it's my friend Jeff from Madison. How you been, Jeff? What do you got for us?
Hey, pretty good, Cruz. Hey, I got a quick comment for you. It's a little off topic. I assume you weren't listening to Tom Hartman today because you're doing all your shows.
I try not to. Sadly, I listen to more righty-whitey talk radio. Tom's such a smart guy. If I listen to his show, next thing you know, I'd be parroting his words.
Yeah, plus you got all that show prep to do.
Well, come see, come saw. But what's up, Tom? What were they talking, or Jeff, what were they talking about?
Well, CJ called in, which I thought was pretty funny. And Tom was patiently listening to him rattle off his top 10 stupid things he complains
Afghanistan,
about.
inflation.
The border.
Yeah.
So
we get the idea. We know the script.
Joe Biden promised to fix it all on day one. So Tom listened to him real patiently. And then after a while, he just took him down. It was really good. He started to answer every question, and then TJ would interrupt him, and he'd go, I'm answering your question. And then he just, on about 3 of the points, he just laid him out and then moved on. It was really pretty entertaining.
Well, if we believe our friend Clay/CJ, claims he's going down to big Republican Party convention in Middleton tonight. Jeff, I'm quite excited. Do you hear the new news out of Wisconsin? Apparently, Rebecca Clayfish, according to some internal polling, is no longer the gubernatorial frontrunner for the Republican field. She's been surpassed by businessman Tim Michels.
That's funny.
Yeah,
interesting.
Could get real interesting down at the old convention tonight.
Yeah, it sounds like they're just dropping her.
Well, depends on who you mean. Clayfish has got a lot of, I would call them political favors in the tank. I mean, she ran for governor for the last 4 years. All that 1848 project, all that crap, that was just elective campaign and waiting. That's the way they do it now. And she was out there, endorsing and helping small candidates around the state. I think she's got a lot of grassroots support. But, I've got to wonder, Jeff, she cannot really believe that the last election was rigged or stolen. I don't think any of them do. But if we look to Pennsylvania as the example, they just had their primary earlier this week. Hell, man, that Ram Jam guy could be the dark horse, Jeff, coming out of this weekend. He could win the straw poll.
Well, it doesn't bother me when the crazy ones get the nomination. It makes it easier for us in November.
Well, Tony Evers can use every break he can get, Jeff.
That's for sure.
Buddy, I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for checking in on us.
Same to you. Talk to you soon.
Take care, Jeff. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates, catching up with friends, making new ones. You can always be a part of the Devil's Advocates community, the family that is the Devil's Advocates. I know my third best friend soon to join. He is Dominic Salvia, my college roommate. He always makes it a little funner up in here. So he's been joining earlier. He joins right now for the happy hour, and then the happier happy hour also. A fine guest, Khary Pennebaker. He is the plaintiff suing the false electors through a civil process, and hopefully they can stick it to the fraudulent electors to the tune of $200,000 each. We'll talk with Khary Pennebaker at 4:30. Come back with us. Devil's Advocates, the Friday edition. Dom joins the party next.
I drank beer with my friends.
2/3 of U.S. senators are millionaires, including Ron Johnson, who married into a billionaire family. I'm Tom Nelson, not a millionaire, just the son of a Lutheran pastor who approves this message. I need your help to get to the Senate to make sure people like Johnson finally pay their fair share. Go to nelson4wi.com, that's F-O-R, if you can give a few bucks so we can make sure everyone has a voice. Paid for by Nelson for Wisconsin.
At Chad's Design Build, we care deeply about the quality of the services that we provide to our clients. An excellent remodeling experience requires communication, honesty, accuracy, and a detailed plan, all of which helps to create a satisfied client. And these commitments spell our name. To learn more about the Chad's remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com. Building a better world, one remodeled home at a time, and celebrating 30 years of excellence.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Russia claims to have captured Mariupol in Ukraine. A nearly 3-month siege reduced much of the strategic port city to a smoking ruin, with over 20,000 civilians feared dead. John Kirby at the Pentagon says Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin will be hosting a virtual meeting Monday on aid to Ukraine.
More than 40 countries, which will be coming together as they did in Ramstein a month ago to provide security assistance to Ukraine and to discuss the future of what that could look like.
There was no immediate confirmation from Ukraine on Russia's claim in Mariupol. President Biden is in South Korea starting his Asia trip. 2 Secret Service workers who were in South Korea are heading back to the U.S. The AP Sagar Magani explains why.
A person familiar with the matter says a Secret Service agent and an armed physical security specialist were involved in a confrontation with locals, including a heated argument with a taxi driver.
There's a call in Oregon for a formal investigation into a ballot printing fiasco that will delay results from Tuesday's primary for weeks in the state's third largest county. As many as 60,000 ballots in Clackamas County are unreadable by vote counting machines because of blurry barcodes.
The good barcode at the bottom is very intense black ink with crisp lines. The one that's bad at the top is got some white lines. It's got a little more faded out in the barcode area.
County Elections Clerk Sherry Hall says the process to count the ballots is painstaking, and at last check, about 23,000 ballots had been tallied. The National Weather Service says a tornado struck Michigan's northern peninsula today. Damage is reported in the town of Gaylord. Former President Donald Trump paid $110,000 after being held in contempt of court for being slow to respond to a civil subpoena issued by New York's Attorney General. A bit of a rebound for stocks, mixed results. The Dow up 8 points. This is AP News.
Okay, let's start unloading the sod over here.
The grass is always greener when Haruka's Lawn Care does the mowing.
And then we want to get the flower bed started before lunch.
They need a new landscaping designer to keep their budding business growing.
Can we double check the incline here? This one needs to drain this way.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Look, it's heartburn. It's going to try and ruin our vacation.
Don't worry. iPack Prilosec OTC. One pill in the morning prevents excess acid production that can cause frequent heartburn.
Nice. Aloha, heartburn.
Block heartburn from your summer bucket list with Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Don't wait until you have heartburn to start Prilosec OTC. Kick your summer off right and look for Prilosec OTC at Walmart or Walmart.com.
Quit surfing the dial. You already found the greatest radio station ever, Devil Radio, on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Listen to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for progressive news talk radio, bringing you a lineup of live talk radio every single weekday. Start your mornings off with Matt Flynn Direct from 6 to 8 a.m. Then join the Stephanie Miller Show every weekday morning from 8 to 11. The Tom Hartman program is live middays from 11 to 2, right here on Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM.
Listen to your favorite political talkers no matter where you are. 92.7 FM in Madison and Eastern Dade County, 1580 AM Columbus, north of Madison, and for daytime east-west commutes on I-94, 101 FM in the Shaw, and 540 AM covering eastern Wisconsin all day and covering the Milwaukee Metro, the Wild Counties, Racine, and Kenosha 24/7. Download the free Devil Radio app for your smartphone and take both stations with you everywhere. No excuses, just listen.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Here's how you get them. If they bring a beer, you bring an old-fashioned. If they bring cheese curds, you bring a casserole. That's how you make friends. That's the Wisconsin way. That's Devil Radio.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. According to the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, the state's latest data shows the lowest unemployment rate in Wisconsin history. In April 2022, Wisconsin again experienced an unemployment rate of 2.8%, tying the record set in March of this year. More than 3 million people are working in Wisconsin as of last month, and the labor force expanded by 2,700 and workforce participation held at 66.5% in April. All 5 of Wisconsin's Republican congressmen voted against a measure yesterday in the U.S. House of Representatives that aims to prevent future shortages of baby formula like the country is currently facing. Wisconsin's 3 Democratic members of Congress voted for the measure to provide more inspectors and prevent fraudulent products from hitting store shelves. A chance for thunderstorms this morning into the early afternoon with a 70% chance for rain, winds expected up to 15 miles an hour and a high of 69 degrees. Cloudy skies expected this evening with temperatures dropping to 48 degrees overnight. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. The happy hour has commenced. Dominic joins the party. I got Evan here with me at the world headquarters in Madison, lightly screening the calls at 844-967-2789. And Dom, I'd like to issue a special greeting and a welcome to all the fine Republicans coming to my backyard this weekend. State GOP convention has kicked off. It started at 4:00, man. They're partying. They're conventioning.
Really? Are you sure they're
stopping the steal? And
yeah, we were in Cleveland for the national RNC. That really wasn't much of a party. So I wouldn't expect a whole lot of action in Middleton today, at least not out, the restaurants and bars, people having fun, but perhaps inside the convention, inside the room, they're at each other's throats, baby. Well, it's right on right crime.
Red on red. Dominic, new polling. I had not seen this polling. New polling on the great state of Wisconsin. Republican polling. Although it comes from PPP, Public Policy Polling. I thought that was a Democratic firm. But anyways, a poll.
You pay the money, they'll do the poll, right?
Yeah. Milwaukee Works commissioned public policy polling. A poll of 675 Wisconsin GOP primary voters. And currently in first place in the Republican gubernatorial race. Unsure. But in second place, behind unsure, Tim Michels has thrust into the lead.
What?
Ahead of Becky Clayfish.
Wow.
That's what $1 million a week in TV ads will do for you, Dom. And he's also spending, just for the record, I've had the opportunity. I've traveled the state a little bit of late. And I've heard Tim Michels ads in every corner of the state I've been in. He's all over the radio as well. So it has been a thorough communications assault. And what do you know, man? Now he's the front runner. Within the margin of error,
sure. Right? 3.8%. Clayfish is at 26. He's at 27. And that's a big gap between Nicholson at 9 and Rantham at Ram Thun at 6, Ram Jam. So there's a big gap there, and Nicholson and Ram Jam don't have the funds or the notoriety. Now, it was just kind of surprising. I mean, Becky Clayfish has put a lot of time in that ground, walking around the state. I mean, she's been very active, and as you mentioned, she's been running for a very years since she was a lieutenant. Once she got kicked out of office, she's been basically laying down that groundwork. So it's amazing to me, in some respects, to see how quickly all that effort and all that groundwork, at least seems, at least on the polling, to be fading so very quickly when a guy comes in and just dumps a bunch of cash. Now, perhaps the messaging, what he's saying, is resonating. I find some of his ads offensive, but he's
going to turn Madison upside down.
I mean, it's people aren't working, and I built this business, and it's come on, man. It's just very trolly to me. But I mean, he's speaking to an insurrectionist, fascist, extremist party, and that's how they roll these days. So, and maybe that's kind of the reason perhaps Becky has been sliding and toying with maybe it was something wrong or rigged or whatever the case was, in her trying to appeal to the insurrectionist bastards in the state of Wisconsin. But Michels, man, wow.
Let me point out some of the policy platforms the state Republicans in Wisconsin will consider at the big convention in Middleton this weekend. According to the Journal Sentinel, Wisconsin Republicans will vote this weekend on whether to urge lawmakers to require counting ballots by hand, which I've always liked in theory, but mathematically is quite inaccurate and cumbersome and would have the exact opposite effect of what they're hoping to accomplish. But anyways, number 2, implement the death penalty for convicted killers of police officers. Now, we currently don't have a death penalty in Wisconsin, but they're willing to make an exception, because they're the pro-life party.
Wait. I want to be clear on this. This is the Republicans in the state of Wisconsin want to instill the death penalty for murderers, but only murderers of police officers?
Yes.
What if the murderers of anybody else they're fine with, or at least don't think that deserves the death penalty? But if you murder a cop, then you deserve the death penalty.
Back to badge. One more, Dom. They also will vote to ban puberty blockers used by transgender children. So cop killers and transgender children are the two biggest problems, facing the Republican Party in Middleton this weekend.
Wow.
Dominic, the proposals, part of a slate of more than 24, will be taken up by hundreds of delegates scheduled to meet in Middleton for the annual RP of Wisconsin Convention, Republican Party, an event that could potentially become chaotic as the 4 candidates. That's what I'm kind of rooting for, chaos, looking for chaos, Tom, as the 4 candidates for governor vie for an endorsement from a party and the members from at least 20 county GOP organizations that don't want to give anyone in 2022. I didn't quite understand that. I must have read it wrong. So what? They don't want to endorse? Republicans in this battleground state are generally distrustful of the outcome of the last presidential election. That's a nice way of saying it. 2/3 of them are still down for stop the steal, rigged election, and energized to vote in this year's midterms, which of course is completely oxymoronic. They rig all the elections. Let's go vote. Doesn't that seem a little counterintuitive?
I mean, if you're looking for a straight line of logic and reason with them, there is none. There is none. I mean, their leadership, the Republicans themselves, who were elected on the same day, on the same ballot, in the same election process and system, their elections were totally good. But I guess if the Dem won, like Biden, when he was on the top of the ticket, Biden beating Trump, well, that was rigged. But it's the same ballot, dude. So there's no logic. This is all emotion. They're playing on the emotion, and that's why you see just so much, trolling. And I'm a big crap talker, man. You know me, Crudy.
I know.
I'm usually down with that, but I just. Damn, is this where we're at now? I mean, it's worse than trash talking after an awesome pool shot in a bar at like 2:00 in the morning.
I would know. Because I go to bed at a reasonable hour and I'm bad at pool. So, anyways, Dom, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, he'll be the headliner, right? Although he's got some headwinds, one might say, but he'll be beloved by the delegates, and the delegates will debate. Talking about the GOP delegates will debate whether the party should endorse candidates in statewide races, a process of unfair anointment to some. Please don't do it, says Kevin Nicholson, but if you are, please anoint me. And whether to back policies that push the party further right. Oh, yeah. They're going right. Party leaders are expecting more Republicans to attend the convention this year than any convention over the last decade. Because COVID, that's all in the rear view.
Yeah.
This year's expected attendance at the state convention is a testament to the historic energy among our grassroots activists this election cycle, according to Mark Jefferson, executive director of the RP of Wisconsin. The delegates will vote to approve the proposed resolutions, making the ideas official party priorities. We're going to see what the Republican priorities are coming out of this big convention and signaling to voters what Republican candidates might push for if elected. Yeah, that's what scares me, quite frankly. Right. Two proposals will put pressure on Republican lawmakers who control the state legislature to pass bills that would require all ballots to be counted by hand in each election and all of them to be counted on election day. And it's always going to be sunny on election day by law.
Right. I mean, come on. I mean, especially look at the last election, of course, the pandemic and all the mail-in ballots. And by law, we in the state of Wisconsin, the Republicans had the ability to impact how the votes are counted. And they decided to leave it. Perhaps they like this issue. Oh, you're counting all the mail-in ballots after the polls close. Why are you doing that? Well, that's kind of how you guys made us do it. Well, that's why it's done that way. And if you're going to do, are they then promoting an additional, funding for elections in the state of Wisconsin? So we don't have to go to billionaires for additional funding and then give the right-wing conspiracy nut jobs and a reason to try to overturn an election. If we properly funded our elections in the first place, we wouldn't even be at least engaged in the discussion of the Zuckerbucks.
Oh, you Marxist revolutionary, just go cash your George Soros checks.
I'm still waiting, man. I take cash.
Dominic, this idea of hand-counted paper ballots, if enacted according to the reporting here, statewide election results might not be known for days. In Milwaukee, for example, the task of hand-counting all ballots in one day could require hiring more staff. In November of 2020, more than 247,000 ballots were cast and counted by machines. Even then, results weren't known until the following morning. That's the machine count. And party members are also calling for dissolving the state elections agency and requiring primary voters to register as a Democrat or Republican, among other election-related proposals. Voters in Wisconsin currently are not asked to declare a party affiliation on their registrations or are able to vote in either party's primary elections, but not both. Like Rudy screwed up and did one time.
Don't ever do that.
Dominic, other policies for consideration among
hang on real quick, if I may. The election policies that they are promoting, the Republicans, does that, based on what we just talked about, and we know their history of the Republicans, you think that's going to open up the opportunity, make it easier for people to vote?
No.
Harder
to tabulate the vote, inaccurate tabulation of the vote. You'll probably subject us to more recounts and longer tabulation and more rampant speculation. And of course, you open up the floodgates to, they're not counting fast enough. We're just going to declare a winner. Right? Because that'd be the Trump style. Follow the example of Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania.
Frankly, I did win this election.
Dominic, other policies up for consideration would bar transgender people from using facilities, housing, or participating in sports associated with gender, which they identify.
Hang on, we got to hit a break, folks. Join us, 844-967-2789.
America.
I had everything turned down, like I was playing it and faded it up. I just didn't have it up. Sorry about that.
By simply washing their hands. Just 20 seconds of thorough hand washing after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside can help fight against the dastardly spread of germs. Armed with only soap and water and hands, your superhero can protect you, your family, and everyone out there in America land. Amazing! Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
We've mentioned, inflation is going to be an issue. Let me ask you this. What would you like to see Donald Trump do if you were here? What did you suggest Biden do to address the inflationary pressures we're facing right now?
Well, I can't tell you that because that would be something you could counter and defeat Trump with, or the Republican Party. So tell you.
You think Trump's taking strategy from you on talk radio, Lou?
I mean, you're no Kid Rock, Lou.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Pa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit stoptextstoprex.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates know how to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and we're all out of bubblegum.
It's not hard to reach back.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Friday, happy hour. Join us, 844-967-2789. Evan, fortuitous timing on the drop, man. I got the They Live t-shirt, man. My cousin Joe from Detroit is a big 80s fan, goes to the Comic-Cons and all those kinds of things. Got a package in the mail, some shirts from back in the day. So I love the They Live, dude. Thank you for that.
I'm glad you're so excited.
Have you seen?
Sorry, I bore you with the politics.
Dude, are you aware? Have you seen it? It's a classic, cult classic. That's where that drop comes from. Came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Roddy Piper, man. I think it was John Carpenter did that movie. It's prime for a remake. Let me just put it that way. The guy puts on the glasses and he can see the aliens, but you got to have the special glasses.
Oh yeah, that one.
Sorry,
I missed that one.
Oh, dude.
They Live. It's a cool t-shirt ish. Looks good on you though.
Yeah.
You know, I still got the movie in the briefcase from when I said, oh, someone said here, great movie, great political movie. And I
still haven't watched.
No, man, who's got a DVR set up at the ready? You know, I got to go through some effort to get.
Oh, you mean DVD?
If that's what they're called, whatever the kids call them these days, the round spinny disc thing.
Oh, all right.
Don't play on the record player.
A laser disc? No, not that. Okay.
Anyways, maybe this weekend, Jeff. If I got the time, Dom. If you got the time. They got the candidate for you down at the old GOP convention in Middleton. You know, the big gubernatorial race. That's what's got all the attention. And the new polling's got Tim Michels, businessman, self-made daddy, you know,
inherited hundreds of employees and a company.
And I turned him into thousands. So, you know, he did some multiplication or something, according to him. And then there's Kevin Nicholson. Again, I'll say this again. I cannot see why anyone, I'm not a Republican, but this guy used to be a Democrat. And sure, he's got a okay resume. You know, he's a Marine. He did some business consulting that he doesn't talk about much. But what's his political resume, and why are we voting for Kevin Nicholson?
Because he's running
for which office again? Oh yeah,
whatever office will have him.
Well, none of them, none of the above. That's
so
the
you
problem.
Keep running, baby.
And of course, the Clayfish campaign, staffed up by Alex Wanker, you know, young Wanker. You know, they got to be a little nervous, man. You know, the Michels campaign turned on that dark money. Well, it's just his own money spigot, right? When you got lots of money, you turn on the spigot and you self-fund. Republicans love the self-funders till they come waiting in the race and start changing the dynamic. I had every expectation this weekend. Apparently, I'm going to be wrong. But I had every expectation that the Republican Party would indeed endorse, and they would endorse their clear frontrunner, Rebecca Clayfish. And now that probably isn't going to happen, right? Unless this polling is dramatically wrong. Or maybe Rantham's making a late charge up the backstretch.
What was Rantham at in this polling? This PPP?
Like 6 or 7?
6%. Yeah.
He's
6%.
on the move.
From what?
5?
Oh, I mean, as a percentage, that's a pretty big bump compared to, the other ones.
I mean, he's up like 15% or something. 20%,
He's got a
right?
long way to go.
844-967-2789 GOP Convention air. CJ on the phones. CJ, you in Middleton, man?
I got to say, Rudy, you're going to luck out because I forgot I got a wedding to go to.
Oh, so you're
going to miss me.
Oh, I'm going to miss you.
But
I'm going to miss you.
Yeah, that's maybe a misnomer. We got three great candidates.
Which three? Because you got
was doing such a good job.
Who are the three good ones, just for the record?
Well, I think
No, I'm absolutely serious.
There's four of them. Question. You got Michels, Clayfish, Nicholson, and Rampton. Which one of those are not the three great candidates?
I don't really know a lot about Rampton. So here's the thing, though. Again, we're living in a Democrat world, and you guys almost sound like you can taste the frustration. I didn't know what that was like, but President Hunter's dad told us that he could almost taste the frustration, and I hear that in you guys.
Yeah, I am a little frustrated. You got to deal with these jackass Republicans all the time, CJ.
Well, the pizza I ordered for lunch for the guys is repeating a little. That might be what you smell, CJ.
Go ahead, CJ.
Well, another record today in the fuel. Inflation hurts the lower class people more than anybody.
Why do you sound so gleeful when you say that, CJ? It's almost like you're cheering against the presidency and by extension against the American people. Why is that funny? I'm asking a sincere question.
Well, he was warned. He was told. Larry Summers. I mean, everybody said, don't do this. He doesn't
don't do what?
To his advisors.
Don't do what exactly?
What's that?
Don't do what? What did Biden do to make gas go high?
Dumping money into the market, printing money galore. And as far as campaign finance, why doesn't the big guy?
Wait, I want to be clear on this, CJ. It's your position that the administration, that the executive branch, prints the money.
Well, he's the one that's putting forward these bills that he's been warned it's going to cause inflation, which it did. And
I appreciate it, CJ. You bring up a point, and let me ask you about this. When Trump was in office, one of the only few things he did was sign a $1.5 trillion tax cut. Right now, when all that money flowed through and trickled down, how much inflation did we have then? Oh, that's right. It didn't flow through and trickle down. See what I did there, CJ?
Never really does it?
No.
That trickle down never quite gets to us. Unless it comes down the rich guy's leg, right? Come back. More devil's advocates. Air your grievances here. Oh, no. Be patient because we got fine guests. Thanks for giving me the sign, coach. Khary Pennebaker. He is a plaintiff in a suit to try and hold the fraudulent Trump electors accountable.
He was a real elector. Yes.
He's a real elector, and those false electors should pay him $200,000. Or at least that's what the lawsuit is seeking. Come back. We got a fine guest. Then your calls. More Devil's Advocates. Khary Pennebaker. Our fine guest next.
Here we are, the young contender, scrappy, controversial, has an impressive reach. Devil Radio 92.7.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Summer is now, and it's not too late to make your backyard an oasis. Go Landscaping can create a sanctuary from the world right in your backyard. Stone fireplaces, stone patio, outdoor kitchens, stone is their passion. Hardworking and professional, call Cody. Their dry stone certified mason will help you design and realize your dream this summer. Call Gold Landscaping today at 608-807-9245. Stop dreaming and go love your yard.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil.
Garland and Buffalo. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. A year ago, Attorney General Merrick Garland ordered a review of the Justice Department's policies to combat hate crimes. Garland says the massacre of 10 blacks at a Buffalo supermarket highlights the reasons for the review.
If it's possible to even further redouble our efforts, something like this can only cause us to do so. We commit to using every resource of the Department of Justice to prevent these kinds of acts of hate, to hold accountable those who commit them.
The Attorney General unveiled new guidelines to help local jurisdictions raise awareness of hate incidents and announced new grant funding to help states establish hotlines for reporting crimes. The markets closed mixed for the day, while also posting another losing week. The S&P
Hey, Khary, can you hear me?
After flirting with dropping into a bear market, the Dow was up 8 points, while the Nasdaq slipped 0.3%. I'm Tim McGuire.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. How are you doing today?
Over here. The grass is always greener when Haruka's Lawn Care does the mowing.
And then we want to get the flower bed started before lunch.
They need a new landscaping designer to keep their budding.
Worst case, just try and get as close as you can to that mic without looking crazy.
How about now? Can you hear me okay now?
That's pretty good. That's great. Thank you. Awesome. All right. We are back in about a minute and a half here. Thank you for joining us.
Resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Look, it's heartburn. He's gonna try and ruin our vacation.
Don't worry. I packed Prilosec OTC. One pill in the morning prevents excess acid production that can cause frequent heartburn.
Nice. Aloha, heartburn.
Block heartburn from your summer bucket list with Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Don't wait until you have heartburn to start Prilosec OTC. Kick your summer off right and look for Prilosec OTC at Walmart or Walmart.com.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin joined 13 other Democratic senators in calling on 2 data companies to stop collecting and selling location data of people who visit abortion clinics after a recent Vice article found anyone could purchase such data from the companies. The companies claim the data is anonymous, but the information contains where the individual was before they visited the clinics and after, along with addresses. This week, Harley-Davidson announced it is suspending manufacturing for 2 weeks at its Menominee Falls plant, as well as a plant in York, Pennsylvania, due to delays from a third-party supplier of parts. Last night, the Dane County Board voted to acquire close to 230 acres east of the Yahara Hills Golf Course from the city of Madison that is being slated to become a landfill and sustainability park in the coming years. An explosion at Somerset Marine Construction in Eagle, Wisconsin yesterday injured 6 people, including 3 firefighters responding to the incident. You're listening to Devil Radio.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday edition. It gets better. Right now, Khary Pennebaker has joined us live via Zoom. He's a friend of ours. He has run for for Congress. He's an activist. And he was a Wisconsin duly elected elector for the Joe Biden. Did I describe that right? Khary, welcome to the big show. Welcome back.
Hey, Khary.
Hey, thanks, guys, for having me on again.
So how did you become a Joe Biden elector?
Well, I was duly elected by the people within the party and within the state legislature. And once that happens, again, this is my second time. I was an elector for Hillary Clinton in 2016, and then I was thankfully rewarded with the honor again in 2020 for Joe Biden. And it is an immense honor. And in this case, I was one of few people in the country and in American history to be able to vote for the country's first woman of color for vice president. That is a huge deal. And to see that kind of moment sullied by a group of folks who wanted to lie and steal democracy from folks is something that simply cannot stand.
Well, Khary, we'll get to your litigation, but let's talk about the day. You went to the Wisconsin State Capitol. I understand that was what, December 14th of 2020. The election had already happened. Joe Biden effectively won the state by about 21,000 votes. That very day, if I recall correctly, all litigation had been exhausted in the state of Wisconsin. And you guys went up to the Capitol, and Tony Evers and others were there. And what was that scene like, Khary, when you actually cast your electoral college votes?
So that last lawsuit that Trump had lost happened the Saturday before. So we went there on a Monday, and it was a cold day. And honestly, I was terrified. A few days before that, another slate of fake electors in Michigan had stormed that Capitol, trying to burst their way in, and the police wouldn't let them in. And then in Arizona, there was another instance where they did the same type of thing, where the Arizona electors had to go to an undisclosed location because of how rowdy and vicious the fake electors and Trump supporters had been. And in our case, having heard that news, I was terrified. I thought I was going to walk into a mob, but because these things had happened before our day, folks had taken steps to make sure we were going to be safe. So we went to the Capitol, but in a undisclosed location to meet. We actually got to go through all the tunnels that Scott Walker escaped from during the Act 10 situation. And there were police everywhere inside the Capitol. I had never seen that many police in a building that way in my life. I mean, they were everywhere.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the Capitol building was under lock because it was a COVID pandemic, and the building wasn't legally open to the public.
Correct.
And when you entered the building that day, were you aware that there was a sort of a parallel effort, a fraudulent effort afoot by the Republicans? Had that news broken to the democratically elected electors?
I didn't know right away, but there were, I believe, tweets that had come out, or some kind of news reports or reporting that had come out while we were in the office making the votes, because it's not like you can't have your phone out and all that kind of thing. So I did start to see some of that stuff, but it wasn't like when we were doing it, it wasn't like, oh, breaking news, this is happening. It just started to trickle out a little bit, but we didn't see them. The police made sure that no one had access to us at all.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. That's Khary Pennebaker. He is a National Democratic Committee member also, and more importantly, for the context of this conversation, a Joe Biden elector, a true elector, suing now for damages. Okay, so you weren't aware that the Republicans were doing this, or at least not to the degree at the same time, or what that whole plan was. As you went through your process, and of course, the electors voted for Joe Biden, at what point did you become aware? When did you understand that this was a fraudulent electors at work, and also not just in the state of Wisconsin, Khary, but also a conspiracy for many other contested states? And at what point did you realize that, wow, this is very troublesome?
So we knew about Michigan and Arizona before we even got there. I didn't know the full breadth of what those fake and fraudulent electors from Wisconsin had done. I didn't realize the scope of it until we got finished. But again, you got to keep in mind the mindset that I was in going into this. I had an immense amount of death threats and harassment going up to December 14th. So that's what I was expecting to walk into. I thought there was going to be a swarm of Trump supporters trying to harass us. And thankfully, I think it was less than 20 people that had showed up, but the police did make sure that we were not, you had no way to get access to us, which was a great thing. And I really applaud them for keeping us safe. And then within the next few days after that vote, you began to see the other states where those fake electors have begun trying to concoct their scheme and put it in play. And then you really didn't see like the whole plan until way later than that. But what made the whole thing worse, though, is what happened on January 6th, where they tried to really, I believe, as one of the Trump acolytes called it, the Green Bay sweep, where they really tried to thwart democracy, but without the front end work that they had done with having these fake electors showing up. January 6th wouldn't have mattered as much. I mean, those folks those fake electors really are the seed for what happened on January 6th. And for folks like me who got the harassment and death threats, January 6th was like, to me, it was like, well, my time is up. These folks are literally going to kill me. If they want to kill Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence, and they're going through the U.S. Capitol saying so publicly and unafraid in doing so, what do you think they're going to do to me? And so that's like when you're looking at how great of an honor this is, being one of the few people in history to be able to cast an electoral ballot, to have that kind of cloud hanging over you where you might die doing something you were elected to do. I didn't do anything violent to anybody. I earned my position. I was voted in rightfully so. I earned that spot. And then to have someone threaten to kill me over it is absolutely crazy to me. And to think this is happening in a country that markets itself as the greatest country on earth is staggering. And to see that you have so many people who should know better, lawyers who should know better. You had a president out publicly lying to people, whipping them up to a frenzy to the point where they want to go kill, is staggering to me.
Khary, you're quoted in the New York Times. I don't know that you can put a price on trying to steal democracy. There has to be some kind of penalty. It has to be something. There has to be pure accountability for this. We cannot have this happen again. And the news keeps breaking as the J6 continues its investigation. John Eastman, one of the attorneys that you perhaps referenced before, in communication, certainly with Wisconsin state legislators, with the president, on a regular basis on his court cases.
Still doing it. Was in the state of Wisconsin last month, still advocating for the overturning of the 2020. Sorry to interrupt.
And not surprisingly at all, Khary, they're playing it down. And with the reporting of the Journal Sentinel, those that are involved, really not a big deal. We were just doing this just in case. What's your response to their downplaying this?
I mean, I would expect folks who don't believe in actual democracy, who are a part of a cult, to be honest with you, to want some kind of king figure who can steal democracy. But Wisconsinites don't believe in that. Americans don't actually believe in that kind of behavior, and you can't downplay this. That is why this suit is important, because you have to have a deterrent so that folks don't look back at what happened in 2020. I think that's a viable option. Republicans should not want this option on the table. Should Democrats be on the opposite side of this equation and be able to try to steal democracy like that? I don't want anybody to be able to steal democracy and thwart the will of the people. People fought, bled, and died for our right to go vote, right? And I don't think anybody should be in a position where they could, through some kind of shifty legal maneuver, to steal people's voices and their votes. Not just the general election vote, but the electoral college vote. That is a criminal act that those folks engaged in, and they have to be held accountable for it. Otherwise, this will happen again, and there's no way in a functional democracy that should be okay.
Khary Pennebaker, our fine guest for about 5 more minutes. Khary is a plaintiff in the lawsuit against the false Trump electors here in the state of Wisconsin. And when we hear about litigation, the first question is always standing. Well, Khary, you've got unique standing as plaintiff, as I would see it, in that you were an actual elector and you and another actual elector are suing the false electors. If anyone was harmed, you were harmed. Absolutely. So what sort of legal advice are you getting on the chances of this proceeding to trial?
So, I mean, I don't, I am not a lawyer. I've never played one on TV either. So the legal advice.
We do it on the radio.
So the legal part, I'll leave to the lawyers and all that. And the sad thing about this is that justice does take a while to come to fruition. But I'm glad this lawsuit has been brought forward, because again, it's about accountability. Because we have to make sure that this kind of behavior is never seen as a viable option again. I do believe it is a lawsuit that is real, and that is something that has to happen. I think it can lay the groundwork for other states who have had the same thing. I believe there's 6 others who had the same type of fake and fraudulent electoral slate, who can do the same thing, so that we can hold these folks accountable, so they never think this is okay again.
Khary, you are obviously active in Democratic politics, and hence your choice as a Democratic elector for Joe Biden. But the Republicans, they got their little convention party starting in Middleton right about now. And I've got to ask you, they got 4 gubernatorial candidates. And as near as I can tell, all 4 of them are at least maybe probably an absolutely rigged 2020 election. Khary, I cannot believe these candidates believe what they're espousing. Do you think they believe it, or do you think somehow they're trying to appeal to the 2/3 of Republicans that still claim they have no confidence in the outcome of the last election?
I think what they're doing is pure pandering. They are trying to peel apart whatever part of that Trump demographic that they can. And it's really unfortunate that you have a group of Wisconsin voters who have been lied to the point where they don't believe the actual truth anymore. They don't believe in the truth of counting of the votes, and they don't believe in the electoral college votes that were put out. That is a real shame that you have a person with that kind of power in Donald Trump to lie to his voters to the point where they can't see through it anymore. And so now you have people who should know better. Those 4 gubernatorial candidates know better. They know how dangerous these kinds of pervasive lies can be, and the damage that it can do, not just to democracy, but to our state and to actual human beings. They realize how far people will take things, and they simply don't care. They don't have the fortitude to say what is right and to actually admit that Donald Trump lost and that Joe Biden won. And so now they're doing whatever they can just to out-Trump the next person. And they're really just furthering that lie and doing further and further damage to our great state and to our democracy.
Khary, we're going to run out of time. My understanding is the Wisconsin Elections Commission did not find legal issue with the false Trump electors, probably, to my opinion, because it wasn't currently against state law. But my question of you, sir, are you using the state courts as the venue for the civil action? And eventually, doesn't it end up before Hagedorn and the crew at the state Supreme Court? Were that the case? About 1 minute left, sir.
So again, I don't want to delve into the legal side because I'm not a lawyer. But my perspective on this whole thing is about accountability. So whatever venue that this may exist in, the folks who engage in this behavior simply have got to be held accountable. And there's no way that this can be allowed to happen again, because it'll be worse the next time. And I guarantee those 4 candidates that are running for governor on the other side do not want this to happen to them had the outcome been different. They don't want that either. Neither do I. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is about pure democracy.
Khary Pennebaker, a fine guest. Thank you so much for joining us on a Friday afternoon. Have a great weekend, man. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Come back. More Devils. Friday grievances on the phones. 844-96-PARTY.
All right, guys. Let's see what you guys have a good weekend.
19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Thank you very much, Khary.
Lonely right now? You're not alone. Try joining a virtual book club or scheduling an online coffee break with coworkers to connect.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Learning in person.
All right, everybody settle down. Find your place, please.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
Listen, get your books out. We're going to start here with chapter
Get the
3.
latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
The plaintiff, Donald J. Trump, hereby serves his suit against the defendants, Hillary Clinton and her cohorts, orchestrated an unthinkable plot, one that shocks the conscience and is an affront to the nation's democracy. This week on Fox.
You know what I mean? Like you're throwing a few too many adverbs and adjectives in this sentence.
One man, one mission Donald Trump gets made fun of. This is Watergate 2.
Making radio great again.
Hi there, I'm Kirk Bankstad and I own the Monaco Brewing Company. And I also have a super PAC. We make good trouble in the North Woods of Wisconsin. You can support our efforts at the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and buy our Woke gear like t-shirts, hoodies, and trucker hats. Enter the code RADIO and get 10% off on your next purchase. A portion of all sales support the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC, which is dark money meant for good. That's the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
Stories come to life at your local parks and forests. They're places of wonder, and they're closer than you think. Make the forest part of your story today at a local park near you, or find one at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open. It's Friday. Air your grievances here at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one, Khary Pennebaker. I believe he is very active, not only in Democratic politics, but also, I hate to use the term gun control, but sensible gun control.
Gun safety. Gun safety.
And there was a ruling by the Wisconsin Supreme Court today that was troubling even to those that concurred with the ruling, because technically it was right, but legally it was dumbfounding. I found this one at the Raw Story. Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice blasts nonsensical law allowing abusers to get concealed carry gun permits post-abuse. Let me read this. In a unanimous ruling, how often does that happen? A 7-0 ruling out of the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled that a man who was convicted of a misdemeanor disorderly conduct for breaking into his estranged wife's home and threatening her while waving a 2x4 is eligible to receive a permit to carry a concealed weapon. What a great law we have in the books. The court found that the man did not commit a crime of domestic violence. Under federal law, if a person has been convicted of domestic violence related misdemeanor, they're ineligible to possess a firearm. And despite the unanimous ruling, Justice Jill Karofsky wrote a scathing concurrence. That's a strange thing. A scathing concurrence.
How often do you hear that?
In which Karofsky said that on the technical legal grounds, the ruling is correct, but the law is as nonsensical as it is dangerous. She cited statistics showing victims of domestic violence are frequently murdered when their abusers own guns. In 1993, Daniel Dubeck of Door County smashed the glass of the front door of his wife's home to unlock the door. When he got inside, he raised a piece of lumber above his head and told her she's dead. Dubeck's wife was home alone with the couple's 4-year-old daughter. She called for help from the neighbors while she and her husband argued outside for about 30 minutes as he continued to threaten her. Eventually, he left and ultimately pled guilty to misdemeanor disorderly conduct. And in 2016, Dubeck applied for and received a permit to carry a concealed weapon. 3 years later, the Department of Justice reversed its decision to grant the permit, citing his history of domestic violence. Dubeck appealed to the circuit court, which agreed with the state. Friday's Supreme Court decision is a reversal of the circuit court. But when you get a 7-0 ruling, you've got to think on the legal grounds that that's the right answer. Now, Dubeck's attorney argued that disorderly conduct is not domestic violence related crime, so he should be able to possess a gun. In his majority opinion, Hagedorn wrote that the court must base its decision solely on whether the elements of the crime of conviction sufficiently match the elements of the relevant federal statute, while ignoring the particular facts of the case. Karofsky wrote that ignoring the facts of the case is dangerous.
Right.
A little bit more from her scathing concurrence, Dom. A domestic abuse victim is 5 times more likely to be killed by her abuser when the abuser has access to a gun. Every month in this country, an average of 70 women lose their lives to a domestic abuse perpetrator using a gun. Over half of all male perpetrated femicides relate to domestic abuse are the result of a firearm. What's more, an abuser's access to a gun increases that risk that a domestic homicide will claim the lives of multiple victims. And even where no homicide occurs, a gun provides an abuser additional means to coerce, threaten, terrorize a domestic abuse victim.
I mean, if the guy's going to swing around a 2x4, who's to say he's not going to, pull out and flash the gun? A little bit more here, Crudy. While Karofsky agreed with the rest of the court that legally Dubek should be allowed to possess a weapon, she said that a legislative change should be made to close the loophole. Quote, recognizing this deadly combination, Congress enacted a firearm ban on domestic violence misdemeanors to address a dangerous loophole in which the domestic abusers avoided losing their access to the gun because often prosecutors did not charge, much less convict, such abusers as felons, a status that generally would dispossess them. Cases like this show the loophole is still open and dangerously so. Closing it, though, requires legislative rather than judicial action. I'm sure Robin Voss and the crew will leave their convention this week, and maybe this will be a topic of conversation and call for a special session, perhaps. The Raw story goes on to report that Karofsky suggested 3 potential actions for the state legislature: adding a criminal statute of, quote, threatened battery, making domestic abuse a standalone crime, or allowing courts to make the determination if the facts of a case constitute a crime of domestic violence. Rep. Lisa Subik, a Democrat from Madison, said on Friday that the decision was a sign that the legislature should pass a bill she co-authored with Senator Dale Coinga, a Republican from Brookfield, that would prohibit anyone with a domestic violence conviction, including disorderly conduct, from owning a firearm.
I got to tell you, for a change, I agree with Dale Coinga.
It is unacceptable that Republicans would allow yet another session to pass without taking action to protect victims of domestic violence, Subek said. We must give law enforcement and the courts the tools they need to protect our families and communities from dangerous individuals with a history of violent behavior. Wisconsin Examiner from Harry Redman, as reported on the Raw story.
Dominic, one other breaking story I want to inform the audience of before we turn the clock to the happy hour. A federal judge has blocked the Biden administration from lifting Title 42. Now, that was the pandemic-related action that the Trump administration put in place to basically use the pandemic as a cover for keeping people out of America. And apparently a federal judge, this would have been an expiring policy, and a federal judge has blocked the rollback of Title 42. A little bit of reporting. A federal judge in Louisiana has, for now, blocked the Biden administration from ending a Trump-era pandemic restriction known as Title 42 at the U.S.-Mexico border, thwarting plans to terminate the controversial public health authority. Since taking office, President Joe Biden's administration has continued to rely on Title 42, a public health authority invoked at the onset of the coronavirus pandemic that allows border officials to turn migrants away at the U.S.-Mexico border. And in early April, though, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced plans to terminate the order. The CDC said the time is no longer necessary given current public health conditions and the increased availability of vaccines and treatments for COVID-19. The decision sparked a flurry of criticism by Republicans and Democrats amid heightened concerns over a migrant surge when the authority lifts. So a judge is blocking the end of Title 42. And I got to tell you, Dom, the Biden administration might have caught a break there. The vast majority of the American people, when polled, according to CNN, do not agree that now is the time to end this policy. They may not agree with the policy, and I'm not saying I agree with Title 42, but now may not be the time, going into the midterms to end this policy. Joe Biden, you got enough problems, man. Have you seen his new polling? It's really quite atrocious. And I'm not trying to pile on the man. I'm just saying, Joe needs to catch a break. Maybe he caught a modest break from the federal courts. Come back. More devil's advocates. The happy hour is right now.
Are you sure?
Not really.
This is Pat Slattery of Slattery's Automotive Service in Verona. Established in 1973, I've been servicing and repairing cars in the Madison community for nearly 50 years. You can trust me to tell you what your car really needs and fix it right the first time. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to schedule an appointment today. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and repairs for all your automotive needs.
Devil Radio has been kicking ass, earning every listener, and providing our sponsors return on investment 3 years now on the Madison airwaves. And there has never been a better time than right now to advertise with us and join the Devil Radio community. Our audience is loyal and growing every day. Active listeners that don't flip. Wonder if your ad dollars are working? Devil Radio listeners will tell you it works. Ad production is included. Devil Radio will make it easy for you to start seeing return on your investment. Call today.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News, I'm Tim McGuire. President Biden pitches the Indo-Pacific region as a key part of the world's economic future amid deep pessimism at home. AP Sagar Magani reports.
Hours after the president arrived in South Korea, polling released by the AP Nork Center for Public Affairs Research found his U.S. approval rating at 39%, the lowest since he took office. Just a third of Democrats say the nation's on the right track, down from nearly half last month. On a 5-day Asia trip, the president's trying to show close collaboration with fellow democracies can revitalize the global economy and benefit Americans. In Seoul, he toured a Samsung computer chip plant that will be the model for one in Texas.
This is the moment, in my view, to invest in one another, to deepen our business ties.
Saying much of the world's future will be written in the Indo-Pacific. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Following the deadly shooting at a Buffalo supermarket, the Justice Department renews its push to stop hate crimes. Attorney General Merrick Garland says that includes grant money.
These grants will support better hate crime reporting to the FBI and will fund states to establish and run reporting hotlines for victims of hate crimes.
Garland says Buffalo is a painful reminder of the devastation of hate crimes. With Oklahoma only days away from enacting the toughest state ban on abortion in the U.S., providers are preparing to stop terminating pregnancies. AP correspondent Sean Murphy reports women will then have to travel.
There will be basically very few options for women who are seeking an abortion to get that done in Oklahoma. They will almost certainly have to travel to surrounding states, Colorado, Kansas, Missouri for now, and Arkansas.
This is AP News.
Okay, let's start unloading the sod over here.
The grass is always greener when Haruka's Lawn Care does the mowing.
And then we want to get the flower bed started before lunch.
They need a new landscaping designer to keep their budding business growing.
Can we double check the incline here? This one needs to drain this way.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Look, it's heartburn. He's gonna try and ruin our vacation.
Don't worry. I packed Prilosec OTC. One pill in the morning prevents excess acid production that can cause frequent heartburn.
Nice. Aloha, heartburn.
Block heartburn from your summer bucket list with Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate release.
Don't wait until you have heartburn to start Prilosec OTC. Kick your summer off right and look for Prilosec OTC at Walmart or Walmart.com.
A progressive voice in rural Wisconsin, WTTN 1580 AM is South Central Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Listen to your favorite political talkers no matter where you are. 92.7 FM in Madison and Eastern Dane County, 1580 AM Columbus, north of Madison, and for daytime east-west commutes on I-94, 101 FM in the Shaw, and 540 AM covering eastern Wisconsin all day and covering the Milwaukee Metro, the Wow Counties, Racine, and Kenosha 24/7. Download the free Devil Radio app for your smartphone and take both stations with you everywhere. No excuses, just listen.
Brian, patio season is here.
What the heck is patio season?
You know, enjoying a nice beverage outside, taking in the warmer weather. Patio season.
Oh, like when we're down at Hawks at State Street. I like saying hello to everyone.
Yeah, Hawks is one of my favorite spots for patio season when downtown. Right on State Street, great food.
And drinks. Let's go. It's patio season.
Why are you running?
We got to get a good table.
They're all good tables.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Okay.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio app.
Like, wow, Scoob, it's Devil Radio. Rebel Radio.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. On Thursday, Dane County Circuit Judge Valerie Bailey Rinn stated she believes the probe into the 2020 election authorized by Assembly Republicans has, quote, run amok and, quote, gone rogue. The comments came yesterday while Judge Bailey Rinn was attempting to get a response from lawyers for Assembly Speaker Robin Voss about open records sought by a government watchdog organization into the Republican-authorized probe. Judge Bailey Rinn stated she was skeptical the probe has met requirements set out by Wisconsin's open record law because none of the attorneys have provided a detailed account of how records were reviewed to meet the open records request. The judge did not lift the contempt charge against the Republican-led Assembly and stated she may begin fining the body for not complying with Wisconsin law. A chance for thunderstorms this morning into the early afternoon with a 70% chance for rain, winds expected up to 15 miles an hour and a high of 69 degrees. Cloudy skies expected this evening with temperatures dropping to 48 degrees overnight. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday edition, the happier happy hour. We're rolling into it. We got Evan here in the world headquarters screening your calls. You can always be a part, 844-967-2789. And my little buddy, let me apologize in advance because we're going to relitigate.
I do not accept your apology.
The 2016 election. Got to relitigate it.
Wait. Aren't we relitigating the 2020 election?
Well,
no, now we got to relitigate the 2016 election. You're starting to sound like Ram Jam.
There is...
I mean, let me tell you about Reagan, man.
Let's go back to 1996. Bob Dole. Bob Dole says it was rigged.
Dominic, here is the breaking news. And we relitigate the 2016 because there's literally a court case going on in real time. And we promised our conservative viewers and listeners that we would pay attention. And if there was news, we would share the news. So here it is. Here's the new news. Hillary Clinton, according to the reporting at CNN, this ain't coming over from Fox News. Hillary Clinton personally approved plan to share Trump-Russia allegation with the press in 2016, a campaign manager says. That was Robbie Luke, the Clinton former campaign manager. So while this Sussman, the Michael Sussman, and this stems from the John Durham, the special counselor implanted under Trump, while Bill Barr was still the attorney general. And what they're looking at is this allegation that Donald Trump somehow was doing some sort of back channel banking with Alpha Bank in Russia through the Trump organization, through Trump Tower. And the trial over Sussman is about whether or not he publicly, or at least privately to the FBI, when he was in meetings with them, whether or not he disclosed he was working for the Clinton campaign. And the allegation is he did not. And Durham is indicting, and he's going to trial this Michael Sussman, this attorney, for the specific singular charge of lying to the FBI. Now, a few of the earlier details. This is not contained in this current CNN reporting. as the Sussman trial has been unwinding, there has been a little bit of damning evidence in this regard. As I understand it, the meeting with James Baker from the FBI was something of a he said, she said, because Baker did not take notes. And Sussman claims, well, I didn't represent them. I didn't have any client. It didn't come up. I didn't really clarify the point or something of that sort. But I certainly didn't lie to James Baker. But there was another communication with the FBI in writing that came from Sussman that did clarify that he was expressing he had no client. He had no dog in the fight. Just some anomaly sort of stuff he thought should be brought to the attention of the FBI. And that was offered in tandem with billing statements to Perkins Coie, where he was billing the very meeting with James Baker to the law firm that represented Hillary Clinton. So I would
you can't bill the client if you're not on the clock.
If you're not working for
during
the
that time frame, you're on the clock, then presumably you're then working for that client.
So I've been paying attention to the Sussman, the daily outtakes, the reporting thereof. And that's the update as far as I can tell. I'm trying to be fair to all parties here. But this new stuff, this is a little bit of news. Hillary Clinton personally approved her campaign plans in fall 2016 to share information with a reporter about an uncorroborated alleged server back channel between Donald Trump and a top Russian bank. Her former campaign manager testified Friday in federal court. So why the timing? Well, he had to. He was under oath. Robbie Mook. Robbie Mook said he attended a meeting with other senior campaign officials where they learned about strange cyber activity that suggested a relationship between the Trump org and Alpha Bank, which is based in Moscow. The group decided to share the information with the reporter, and Mook subsequently ran that decision by Clinton herself. We discussed it with Hillary, Mook said, adding she agreed with the decision. So the candidate knew. Uncorroborated at this point, in fact, later refuted by the FBI, but let's come back to that thought. A campaign staffer later passed the information to a reporter with Slate magazine, which the campaign hoped the reporter would vet it out and write what they believe is true, Mook said. Slate published the story on October 31st, 2016, just a couple days before the election, Dom. We used this source material on our radio show once upon a time.
Yes, we did.
Raising questions about the odd Trump Alpha cyber links. And the testimony came in the criminal trial of the Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman, who was being prosecuted by the Trump-era special counsel John Durham. Durham is investigating potential misconduct tied to the FBI's Trump-Russia probe. The trial has shed light on the dark art of political opposition research and how campaigns dig up dirt and plant stories in the press. Federal investigators ultimately concluded there weren't any improper Trump Alpha cyber links.
Yes, perhaps they were all very proper, Khary. A little bit more here from the CNN. Clinton, the titles, Clinton officials say they didn't authorize the FBI meeting. Sussman passed along the same information about Trump and Alpha Bank to an FBI official in September of 16. Prosecutors charged him with lying to the FBI, as Khary mentioned, and alleged that he falsely told the official he wasn't there for a client, even though he was there on Clinton's behalf. He pled not guilty maintains that he went to help the FBI as a concerned citizen and that the Clinton campaign wouldn't have wanted him to meet with the FBI in the first place. Mook and another top Clinton campaign official, General Counsel Mark Elias, follow him on Twitter. Very interesting. Reinforced that assertion this week on the witness stand. They both testified they didn't authorize or direct Sussman to go to the FBI with the explosive Trump tip. Mook said Friday that he didn't even know who Sussman was during the 2016 campaign and would have opposed the FBI meeting. Going to the FBI does not seem like an effective way to get information out to the public, Mook said. You can do that through the media, which is why the information was shared with the media. Later in the week, Elias
let me pause you right there. It wasn't about getting to the bottom of it, I would just point out. It was about besmirching one's political opponent. That's all I wanted to add at that moment.
Oh, okay. No doubt. But I mean,
you know what I mean? They weren't doing
dropping a dime on a story about your political opponent to a media source and hoping they go vet it out. I mean, that's happens regularly, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But he did clarify the motive was not to actually, root out the perhaps criminality, because then why not go to the FBI? The actual motive, of course, was to win an election.
Earlier in the week, Elias told the jury that he didn't authorize Sussman's meeting with the FBI, which occurred on September 19th of 2016. Elias said he hadn't learned about the fateful meeting between Sussman and then FBI General Counsel James Baker until Sussman was indicted. In addition to going to the FBI, Sussman provided the technical internet data to a reporter at the New York Times who was working on a story that the FBI spiked after learning about it from Sussman. A staffer from Fusion GPS, an opposition research firm hired by the Clinton campaign, testified she met with the Slate reporter to discuss the Trump Alpha allegations. Testimony from witnesses suggested that the media outreach wasn't closely coordinated, though the situation isn't fully clear. Mook said he didn't know about Perkins Coie, the law firm where Sussman and Elias work, playing a role with us sharing the with the media.
It's almost if the campaign had many tentacles, Tom, some typical and some through a law firm. I don't know. I've never been on a national presidential campaign. I've never, had a run against Donald Trump and a guy who had allegations that he was coordinating with a foreign government and perhaps, doing scandalous stuff with the foreign bank. But it wasn't about getting to the bottom of it. Of course, it was about winning the election.
Yeah, but sure. But even doing a whisper campaign or starting a rumor about your opponent, I mean, that's not criminal.
I'm not saying
right?
it's criminal.
Okay. I want to be clear on
but
that.
Perhaps if you approach the FBI, as Sussman is alleged to have done,
apparently on his own, as testified by multiple people.
So do you think the legal defense here effectively will be, well, I was doing it outside the purview of client, but then explain to me, why did he bill Perkins Coie?
Because you always bill, man. I mean, because you get paid. That's why you bill. What do you mean?
Well, but if you believe the campaign, the testimony of the campaign.
Yeah. Why would they pay the bill?
Why would you pay the bill? Why? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, kind of, but
specifically against
slide in a lot of billings.
I'm sorry, say that again.
During campaigns,
you think this is just padding the bill at Perkins Coie? You think that's what it's about?
That's exactly.
Or do you think he was there at the behest of client?
Well, according to the testimony, that's not the case.
He was not there at the behest of the campaign manager, Robbie Mook.
And Elias also said he did not authorize that to happen.
But they were okay with the billing. Why wouldn't they try to fire this guy or have him disbarred for false billing to the firm? Right, just to create some sort of plausible deniability.
No, I get what you're saying, and it's a total legitimate point. My reaction would be, how many checks are getting cut during campaigns, how much money is flowing. That doesn't
make it better.
I'm not saying it makes it better. I'm just saying if you're wondering how this could possibly happen, I'm telling you, man, one guy's 1 or 2 hour meeting, padded on to God knows what. I mean, we haven't seen. Maybe it is part of the testimony, the actual billing itself. There's lots of reasons how that could have slid through. A little bit more here from a different piece today, also from CNN. Did the alleged lie even matter? To win a conviction, Durham must convince the jury beyond a reasonable doubt that Sussman lied to Baker and that the lie was material enough to influence the FBI's actions or decisions. If Sussman told Baker during the meeting that he was representing Clinton, Baker said he would have asked more questions and may have brought in the FBI agents who handled the Clinton email investigation or agents who were handling the early Trump-Russia probe. This testimony might help undo some of the damage from FBI agent Scott Hellman, who performed the initial technical analysis of Sussman's tip and earlier testified that he wouldn't have done anything differently about the data if he had known it originated from a partisan source.
Folks, you aren't listening to the Devil's Advocate. Some accuse us, at least I'm, of being a partisan source, but I don't. I trust you. You're always doing it on the bequest of client. Come back, more Devil's Advocate. Your calls could be
always billing.
844-967-2789.
Did you call that girl? Of course I did.
Catching up after work.
Guys, this round's on me. You said that? You really said that?
I mean, you should have just
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
There seemingly is a willingness amongst Republicans to subvert future elections. How troubling is that to you, man?
Yeah, I think it's more than troubling. It's the core issue in the upcoming elections in 22 and 24, and it's going to be seen that way by historians. These people are out to destroy the democracy. To me, that is the linchpin issue in the upcoming election.
To what end, Matt?
Do we destroy our democracy or not?
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It is Friday. We air grievances, and you are welcome to join us at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I'd like to relitigate the 1912 presidential primary in Nebraska.
Okay.
No,
who was that again?
I don't know. I don't even know if there was a 1912 president.
Khary, just two more paragraphs here from CNN.
Is Nebraska state 1912? Just checking.
Probably. Regarding the Sussman
Arizona
trial.
Was not.
One day before the meeting, Sussman texts Baker that they urgently needed to meet to talk, saying, "I'm coming on my own, not on behalf of a client or company." Durham didn't charge this as a false statement, but it could influence the jury's deliberations. Baker testified that he wouldn't have scheduled the meeting if Sussman disclosed that he was representing the campaign. The defense has argued that the alleged lie didn't matter. It wasn't material because Sussman was well known within the FBI for representing the Democratic National Committee after it was hacked by Russia. Baker acknowledged in cross-examination that by the time he met Sussman, he was aware about Sussman's work for the DNC and the Clinton campaign.
So he knew that Sussman had worked for the Clinton campaign. Whether or not he was there specifically as a representative was irrelevant, really, to the fact he took the meeting knowing the guy had worked for Clinton, right?
That he
in this very elective cycle.
Yes, right. But I guess, and as we've said on the show, and I'm fine with, let the chips will fall where they may. If a jury decides that this guy did something wrong, and he gets convicted, okay. Whatever happens, be it with that or Hunter Biden or Donald Trump or any of the Trump kids, hopefully justice will be met. But my question is then, and we recognize that the judge allowed only for very specific testimony and charge on this lie, that they couldn't dig into whether or not there was a greater quote unquote conspiracy, which I think is a lot of the righties and the Trumpsters think is. And I'm just speculating here, but my impression is that they think that Hillary Clinton, the campaign, whoever she worked for, kind of created, not only just planted the story or said, hey, look into this alpha thing. It seems like there might be something up with Trump, but that they, in fact, were the ones that made that happen. Now, we're not gonna find out if that were to be the case in this case. They don't have the ability to go after that. There's no conspiracy charge here. It's simply a charge of lying to the FBI. But I would suggest it's one thing for a political opponent to drop a dime of some juice on their opponent. It's another thing entirely to create a fabricated situation whereby it would seem to be that way. And I think the conspiracy in one thing is not acceptable, but passing rumors around that you heard is entirely acceptable.
844-967-2789. Be patient just a moment, gents, because there is related news in our backyard right here in the great state of Wisconsin. In Republican Attorney General candidate is accused of voting for Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Let me read very briefly. Just who did Fond du Lac District Attorney Eric Toney vote for in the 2016 and 2020 presidential? Of course, only one person knows, but here is some key evidence according to page 6's Dan Bice. No, Journal Sentinel's Dan Bice. He just often writes like he works for page 6. Last year, 6 of Toney's past supporters, many of whom are liberal, wrote him a lengthy letter expressing concern about the direction of his campaign for Attorney General. He's running against former state rep Adam Jarchow in the GOP primary to the right, for the right to challenge Attorney General Josh Kaul this fall. In the July 30th, 2021 note, the author, some who have known him being Eric Toney, AG candidate for the GOP, some who have known him for 20 years said they were upset that Toney was embracing former President Donald Trump and his right-wing populist politics. That was quite a switch, they maintained. After all, you have told us you voted for Biden and Harris against Trump in 2020, just as you say you voted for Hillary Clinton against Trump in 2016. The 4-page missive obtained by the Journal Sentinel. 2 sources confirmed the authenticity of the letter, which Toney does not dispute. So wait a second, Dominic. Toney, a longtime Republican, voted for the Democratic nominee for president in the last 2 elections? If this was false, if something you would expect him to refute in his response, I deny it, right? That's what I do.
If it did not happen.
I did not have sex with that woman.
I accuse you of voting for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. What would you do?
No, right.
I did not. No. I did not.
I would never.
I never.
But as Daniel Bice points out, of Attorney General candidate Eric Toney, but he did not deny that is. In an email 5 hours later, so he had time to reflect on. Toney told the group that his politics probably were not like any of theirs, but he thanked them for the note, saying he did appreciate some of that feedback in writing. He explained that he had deleted a pro-Trump post on his Facebook page after they called it into question. He also made clear that he was not part of the extremist anti-vaccine or stop the steal crowds. Well, that makes you unelectable at the GOP
totally,
level.
Man.
I wish you could be at the events when I speak. I tell people I don't believe the election was stolen, that I don't see an audit as being helpful, and that I'm vaccinated. Not a word about their claim that they had told him that he voted for Clinton in 2016 and Biden 4 years later in his 1,000-word response. No denial, Dom. You would deny. Dom, do you ever ride a moped?
Yes.
How about you, Evan?
All the time.
Come on, man. I would lie about that.
Well, you've never ridden a moped. Dude, you have an e-bike. It's like moped light. What are you talking about?
I don't even ride. No offense to our pal, crazy e-bike Lenny.
But you don't exercise.
I don't actually ride. The kids do. The kids like it. I've been on an e-bike, around the parking lot at Lenny's. Mine has literally less than 10 miles on it.
Terrible.
It's a beautiful machine, though. Yeah, you should consider getting one. Just because I'm lazy doesn't mean you are.
It's a trailer queen. Throw it in the back of the Jeep and drive it around. Other bike shows. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Going to break. Come back with your calls and more breaking news of the day. 844-967-2789.
In time, you will know the true power of Devil Radio 92.7. It is your destiny.
Here on Devil Radio, the happy hour is always the happiest hour of the day. If you want to end your day on a high note, join the happy hour at the all-new Dark Horse Art Bar, 756 East Washington Ave, right next to Salvatore's Tomato Pies. Happy hours now Tuesday through Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. with drink and wine specials and $1 slices, and always free parking in our building. The Dark Horse Art Bar. Enjoy this unique, funky, cool space. Surround yourself with art with featured local, regional, and national artists. New shows each month. When we built the Devil Radio World Headquarters in Madison, it was filthy with construction dust, a real mess. I called Magnific Cleaning Services and they made it shine. A few days later, we moved in and created a whole new mess. Magnific Cleaning Services made it shine again. Now Magnific Cleaning Services is the only cleaners I trust with the keys to my company. They clean Devil Radio affordably and with great attention to detail. Find them online at magnificservice.com for a free estimate. Tell them Devil Radio.
Third barcodes in Oregon. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Demands have been made for an investigation into a ballot printing mistake that will delay results from Tuesday's primary by weeks in Oregon's third largest county. As many as 60,000 ballots in Clackamas County are unreadable by vote counting machines because of blurry barcodes. County Elections Clerk Sherry Hall.
The good barcode at the bottom is very intense black ink with crisp lines. The one that's bad at the top is got some white lines. It's got a little more faded out in the barcode area.
Tornado damaged both sides of the Atlantic. A twister crashed into Gaylord, a town of about 4,000 people in the northern part of Michigan's Lower Peninsula. Roofs are gone from a number of homes and businesses, trees and power lines down. No reports yet of injury or death. A tornado hit Paderborn and Lippstadt, cities in western Germany. More than 40 people have been hurt. There's extensive damage. I'm Tim McGuire.
Okay, let's start unloading the sod over here.
The grass is always greener when Haruka's Lawn Care does the mowing.
And then we want to get the flower bed started before lunch.
They need a new landscaping designer to keep their budding business growing.
Can we double check the incline here? This one needs to drain this way.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Look, it's heartburn. It's gonna try and ruin our vacation.
Don't worry. I packed Prilosec OTC. One pill in the morning prevents excess acid production that can cause frequent heartburn.
Nice. Aloha, heartburn.
Block heartburn from your summer bucket list with Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Don't wait until you have heartburn to start Prilosec OTC. Kick your summer off right and look for Prilosec OTC at Walmart or walmart.com.
From Up North News, I'm Pat Kreitlow with headlines and commentary from our daily newsletter and our social media posts. Wisconsin Republicans loosened restrictions on guns a little more than a decade ago, and the concealed carry law still has a loophole big enough for domestic abusers to crawl through. The latest example came Friday when a man convicted of misdemeanor disorderly conduct in a domestic case won in the state Supreme Court because disorderly conduct isn't exactly the same thing as domestic abuse, which would have banned him from getting a concealed carry gun permit. The attorney for Assembly Speaker Robin Vos says what's been suspected all along. Michael Gableman, who's allegedly investigating the 2020 presidential election, basically has no accountability to Vos, much less the open records law at the heart of a court case. A judge found that hard to believe. For these stories and more, head to your favorite social media spot and search for us at Up North News WI or get our newsletter at upnorthnewswi.com.
Charged, never convicted. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday happy hour. You're feeling happy, aren't you, little buddy?
I am, man. I'm stoked. This Friday's been a long, fun week.
You know, I like the playlist Evan's dropping on us here in the world headquarters. He's also screening your calls at 844-967-2789. You know, if you are a new name, you probably are going to jump forward in the list. Nick from Madison, you haven't been waiting the longest, but I think you're a new caller. Welcome.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, no, I've talked to you guys before.
Oh, sorry, Nick, you're on hold. You got to wait 20 more minutes. Now go ahead. Now you jumped you budged the line. Go ahead, Nick.
Okay, sorry about that. But no, I just have a slight grievance with you guys. Okay, and this is kind of personal to me. First of all, I was, I listen to you guys in the car.
You were the original conservative Nick, weren't you, Nick?
I'm the original one. Yes, we have had beers together. Yes. But
could you be a little more specific? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, because whatever. But no, but Mike Lindell, you're talking about him, and here's the thing, okay? Talking about making fun of how he was a former crack guy, which he admitted. And here's the thing, though. I personally have had addiction issues in the past, and I'm proud that I've gotten past that. I think that there are so many other ways to make fun of him, so many other reasons. This is not a reason to make fun of him. I think that's a good thing that he got past that.
Nick, let me ask you though.
I think I did.
Let me draw a distinction between perhaps your circumstance and that of Mike Lindell. Are you personally advocating for the overthrow of the government or the taking back the 2020 election? Because you seem like a reasonable guy to me, Nick.
Not. Absolutely not. That's the reason that's a good reason to make fun of him for.
Well,
not
but what would motivate his delusional thinking? Because he's being sued specifically for defamation, $1.6 billion for making very specific, libelous, slanderous statements about a domestic corporation. Nick, that is beyond simply just somebody's a little pissed off, right? We've all gotten a little angry and vented, but this guy goes out there.
I'm not defending that.
Well, okay, but hang on a second. No, listen, let me jump in here, and I get your point, but I would challenge you in this regard. Do you believe that everyone that smokes crack is an addict?
No.
Okay, so why are you assuming that we're being not respectful, or at least not cognizant of addiction? I'm not saying he's addicted. If he was addicted, maybe he's still smoking. But if not everybody who smokes crack is an addict, now did he admit to it? I guess he did. Is he still doing it? He says he's not. But he comes out with these crazy, let alone the defamation and calling for the overthrow of the government. But hey, every few minutes, every few weeks, something new's coming out, something news is going to break. So I get your point, and I certainly can appreciate and have friends and family members with addiction problems. We have friends OD. So I'm not blunt to and coarse to that thought process. But just because someone's smoking crack, he's a crackhead. That's what it is, Nick. And he doesn't deserve any sense of sympathy whatsoever. He's a terrible human being. And I guess
absolutely.
So what would you prefer? No crackhead jokes? So no alcohol jokes, no fat jokes for Crudy. At what point does the humor stop being funny and start being offensive?
Jokes are jokes, okay? And I am very, me, I'm a comedian. I've done stand-up, I've done improv, and I know that, I like to push the limit, okay? All I'm saying is that if there are so many other reasons to point out how Mike Lindell is just so stupid. But getting past the crack addiction, I think that's an accomplishment.
I'm not sure he did.
Well, I don't know the guy, okay? But all I'm saying is that.
But Nick, was crack your personal addiction, man? Were you a crackhead?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, so why are you so offended about the crackhead addiction? Really?
Well, he's a self-identified crackhead, Mike Lindell. He called himself a crackhead.
What if his perversion was, a porn addiction for children? There are all kinds of different twisted, weird addictions. We've all got our vices, believe me. But I'm just saying, Nick, you make a valid point on some level. We shouldn't make fun of those that have overcome addiction. But I shouldn't make fun of Dom's shortness, my fatness. There's so many things. If we can't cross some lines around here, I can't do live radio, man.
No, go nuts with that. That's great. And he deserves all the scorn you're giving him. Don't get me wrong, okay? It's just that little part that I was like, when I do comedy, I like to punch up. in this small case, it looks like you were punching down. And that's all I'm saying.
Well, that's because I co-host the show with Dom. I'm used to punching down.
Come on, Nick. Appreciate your call, man, and I get what you're saying. I'm not
going to change our attitude or our actions, but you make a valid point.
You do make a point. But to hell with Nick Lindell. I'm sorry. What's
crackhead
his name?
Mike Lindell?
Mike Lindell. Nick,
former,
you're all right.
Probably former, maybe former crackhead.
If it were to be that,
if he wasn't saying the delusional stuff, I mean, if he was,
right.
My Pillow executive Mike Lindell's making American products and employing people. You know what the crackhead stuff? I would also admire his American success story. We all would. I mean, I don't care what his politics are, but he makes it all about his politics. He's delusional, and I'd like to attribute it to the crack-addled mind. Because otherwise, how do you explain it?
It's tough to explain. Thanks for the call, Nick. 844-967-2789. Let's keep going on the phones, airing grievances. Can't believe someone would have a grievance against the Devil's Advocates. Dick from Madison, you are next. Welcome. Happy Friday. What do you got for us?
How'd we offend you today, Dick?
I'm not so sure that he's broken his addiction from some of the crazy stuff he's said and done in the last couple of years. My grievance is, why is not Ginny Thomas and Clarence Thomas in prison? But going forward,
well, I haven't seen Clarence Thomas emails yet. He should have recused, but that's really a ethical standard. But her emails really smack of a conspiracy to overturn the government. She should lawyer up.
Damning. Yeah. But beyond that, the January 6th thing, I honestly think that this is going to be all everything, guys. I really do. And I'll give you some sports metaphors again. They better have a walk-off home run. They better have a triple-double in basketball and in hockey hat trick, because this country is just so asleep at the switch with what's going on. This thing next month better gravitate towards getting everybody's attention to the point where they're going, this is so foul and so out of bounds that we can't vote Republican, no matter what you might think about other issues.
I wish they weren't launching it on like graduation weekend, though. You know, I mean, it's tough to pick your spot on the calendar, but
it's summertime, man. There's never a good day in the summertime.
I wish they would have launched this thing a month ago. But my whole point is, don't you guys think, too, that this is going to be D-Day for the Democrats? They better have...
Well, this is a bipartisan commission, Dick. I mean...
it's Democracy Day, though.
Yeah, right.
This is the preservation of democracy. Let's all hope.
And I sincerely hope it goes well.
Well, we all hope. Democracy hopes. Dom and Crudy, the Devil's Advocates, all good Americans who aren't in attendance at the GOP convention this week. And we all hope for democracy's sake.
We do. Absolutely. And I expect, Dick, thanks for the call, man. I do expect that it will be noted. It will be important. People will take notice, especially when they line it up and knock them down as it pertains to who was involved and how it was involved. And how the story is told will be important. It can't be Robert Mueller doing it. So yes, presentation is important, but also so are the facts. And also so are, how it's presented and how it's interpreted and how it's absorbed. There's going to be that 20% Trumpsters that it doesn't matter what it is. They don't give a damn.
Are they going to play it on Fox News live? I mean, that's a editorial decision. I'm really curious. Fox News, right-wing talk radio.
Broadcast.
We're going to broadcast it live.
No, but I mean, are the main NBC, CBS, ABC, are they going to carry?
Oh, the major networks? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I say absolutely they will.
Real quickly with regard to the Ginny Thomas thing. Seeing that her husband was the sole vote against the purview of the J6 ability to get some information.
Mark Meadows text messages.
Yeah.
Where she had text messages.
And presumably, I got to assume he knew that.
Sure.
Right. Okay. So if we know that he knows that she's involved in this, let's call it a coup, conspiracy to overthrow the United States government. Perhaps there were some communications between them from her texts and her emails.
Come on, man,
so
what are you going to compel pillow talk?
No, you don't have. Hey, man, if Jenny Thomas was involved in this, and we know she was,
yes,
we should get this country. Justice deserves to know every email that she sent out in this regard to everybody. She's an influential figure, like it or not, deserved or not. And if in any of those specific emails, as it pertains to her involvement in the insurrection to overthrow the United States government, there happens to be a CC to Clarence, well, we deserve to know that as well.
She prints off his emails. He doesn't know how to access his own accounts like they had to do for Trump. I'm pretty sure.
He's not off the hook, man. And
I'm not sure. I don't disagree. The man is so conflicted, so corrupted, no doubt. And you could perhaps, if the Democrats could even hold a freaking simple majority, perhaps you could impeach the guy, right? You could remove him for cause. You can impeach a Supreme Court justice. But ultimately, the Dems won't have the caucus or the will. The Republicans certainly aren't going to get rid of this guy.
Unless there's an email from Jenny Thomas to Clarence, say, hey, Clarence, here's my idea. What do you think? And he says, oh, absolutely. Let's do this. To hell with Joe Biden. I mean, yes,
I would say there's no way he's dumb enough to write it down. But
really,
again, look at the 90,000 emails.
I mean, come on, man. She was out there texting all this stuff. You think he's
not a Supreme Court justice? I would hope for.
Keep hoping, man. I mean, how many times do you need to be disappointed in human beings before you realize that just because he has a lifetime appointment, is not a infallible, whatever the term is, human being. He's totally fallible, and he's probably complicit with his insurrectionist wife.
You disappoint me nearly every day.
You're welcome.
Mark from the SAC, welcome back. Don't disappoint.
Hey, Mark.
Oh, I'll try not to, and that because I'm listening and thoughts occur to me while I'm listening that I agree with Joe Karofsky and put it the way that Bumble did about the law. If the law says that, then the law is an ass. That as far as if you're a domestic abuser and you don't get it, you're waving a 2x4 around or a piece of board and threatening to smack your wife upside the head with it. I mean, you shouldn't be able to get a firearm. I mean, that there's a deficiency in the law.
Not just a firearm, a concealed carry permit. So you can sneak up on it.
Which is a greater scrutiny than just getting a firearm.
Right. I mean,
we're not even talking about the fact that maybe that guy shouldn't even have a gun.
They want to have constitutional carry where you have a fight. You don't even need a permit, for goodness sake. And for the Sussman thing, I don't think there's any way they're going to find. There's so much reasonable doubt in there. And for goodness sakes, Donald Trump was in bed with the Russians. I mean that.
But it may not specifically been the Trump Oregon back channel to Alpha Bank. I suspect it was maybe Deutsche Bank and the Putin. The Pooty Poot, or perhaps Kalimnik through his back channel. Paul Manafort, I think is the name. The campaign chairman, give him the inside
fixer
polling
who
data.
actually promoted the condo building in Moscow with the
Michael Cohen.
Yeah, with the suite on top. Maybe
I'm here for
that one.
I'm here for you, man.
You're always here for me, man. I'm glad I disappoint.
We're here for you, our fair audience.
Sometimes, most of the time.
I never disappoint outside the bedroom. Yeah, I got to tell jokes on myself occasionally. Come back. The ever efficient Crudy and Doug. Yeah.
And a father is an honor, a challenge, a duty, a celebration, and a testimony. I want to be legendary for you because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I wonder who that is, honey.
Hugs with family.
Grandma and Grandpa's here.
Get over here.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
I miss you so much, Grandpa.
Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
I've been invited on Fox News. I accepted. We're going to take your favorite ideas for burning it down. Alan from Madison, what do you got for us?
The end of the show, you should tell them you've got a new logo for Fox News. What you do is stand up, drop your drawers, turn around, and Fox is on one cheek, news is on the other, and below you have We Fill the Void.
You know, I don't know if I got that kind of courage, Alan, but I love how you think, man.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
My Shiro always goes the extra mile, stretches every dollar, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org.
Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the last segment of the day. If you got something to say, air your grievances right now at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, going out to the leftist coast and our good friend, L.A. Tom. How you doing, Tom?
Hey, Tom.
Hey, guys.
Been far too long. I hope you've been listening.
Yeah, I've been listening. I've just been working, too. Anyway, first, we the people are the government. And we can never forget that.
Come on.
And number two, I am a proud FDR Democrat, and I hope more Democrats come out and say that, because he did win 4 elections by landslides when he did run, and this country was great. Boy, I'm hearing a lot of Republican victimization today. You got the guy that just called in because you said something about the pillow guy.
Crackheads.
Oh, poor guy. Poor Mike Lindell. Poor, he's such a victim. Republicans are always victims. George War criminal Bush speaking on announcement talking about Putin and basically saying exactly what it is that he did to the people in Iraq. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. But
oh yeah. I mean, come on, man.
Little Freudian slip there by W.
Well, he finally told the truth, I guess, after all those years. Because I'm sorry, I feel he does not deserve a pass. He should be in the Hague, and he also is somebody that opened the gates of hell of this whole thing and the whole Middle East and everything else. So
well, and there was something of an original big lie, wasn't there, Tom?
Yeah.
Weapons of mass destruction.
And they knew how to feed it to the media, didn't they?
They sure did. Media ate it right up and went right with it. And the thing is, even that video, you got people, it's just like when he did that thing at the correspondence there. Oh, where are those weapons of mass destruction? Not here. And all his rich buddy billionaires were all laughing. And they were all laughing the other day when he said that about misplacing Iraq for Ukraine and talking about Putin, and he was talking about himself. And they said, 75. I don't give a crap if you're 75 or not. You started something. I know that they've been doing the whole revamp tour on him and making him out to be, some type of, I guess, courageous Bush. But he's not. He's a piece of crap. He is the one that lied us into a war, killed hundreds of thousands of people, and really did exactly what Putin is doing. So I just don't think that he deserves any type of pass for anything that he's done. And I think he needs to go down in history as one of the worst presidents ever in the history of the United States. And this is what.
Well, leave a little room for Trump in there, Tom.
Right, man. I mean, well, at least I would say this though, Tom. Trump didn't start a war that killed hundreds of thousands of people.
He just let him die of a pandemic.
Yeah, 1 million people.
Well, Trump killed his own people by their own, by their own selves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
by their own
unfortunately, it
ignorance,
doesn't
or by
stay with
their
them.
own-
There's
or by their own
collateral
fault.
damage
I'll
with
tell you
that
what.
too, Tom.
I find George War Criminal Bush, that's what W stands for, war criminal. I still find what he did worse even than what Trump did. I think he is someone that should be sitting in the Hague, him and Cheney, for what they did to this country.
Well, Tom, I could argue the point, but we'd have to be on Venice Beach and we'd have to have all night. But I can't wait to get back out and see you out in LA. We got to find
Yeah, man. Thanks for calling, Tom. Great to hear from you, man.
And Tom, keep an eye on the lovely Kelsey, because she's out there making mischief on the West Coast. Dom, one quick final story, perhaps for the day, originally sourced from the Miami Herald. Fraud suspect faked presidential pardon signed by Donald Trump, Florida officials say.
Oh, I mean, he could be one of those, Wisconsin false electorates.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, Dom. Apparently, it's a crime to misrepresent a pardon from Donald Trump.
What?
A little bit from the reporting. Again, the Miami Herald, my source. A creative Florida man he's creative, Dom.
He's so creative.
Thinks outside the box.
Cut and paste.
A creative Florida man is accused of fabricating his own pardon from former President Donald Trump while he was under investigation for fraud. Federal court documents report. The ruse, which ultimately failed, is one in a series of frauds credited to Alexander, and it's like Lezinski of North Reddington Beach in Pinellas County, according to U.S. Attorney's Office in the Middle District of Florida. So he's a Florida man. Among them, fraudulent deeds granting 22-year-old Lezinski ownership of other people's property. So when they talk about that title lock stuff, this is the guy.
This is the guy, right? Can we buy like electoral lock? Is that something we could maybe you and I should start a business and we guarantee your electoral votes?
Dom, it gets better. You're gonna love this one. You'll actually appreciate this one. The Lezinski character, the Florida man, also apparently started a fictitious religious charity as opposed to the real religious charities.
How can you tell?
He called it Love and Bliss Incorporated. And he apparently used it for check kiting. Because he had the same attitude as you, Dom. God doesn't really need your money, but I do. 844-967-2789. Dom, I know you had one more grievance.
Let me just throw this out there. At last 2 minutes of the day. Oklahoma. Most severe abortion restriction laws.
Oklahoma.
In the nation. Upon conception, when two cells meet, it is now illegal because they don't want that to happen. So you can throw away any pretense of the heartbeat and it's a little heartbeat and they have little fingers. Nope. You could throw away it feels pain and it's nope. This is entirely and 100%. When you talk about outlawing the aborting of two cells, this is religious. This is religious indoctrination. This is canon law. They don't want Sharia law, Islamic law. These are religious zealots telling you how to live your life. And Oklahoma State Rep Mickey Dollins, according to Mediaite.com, floated an idea to other state legislators this week ahead of passage 4327, which would stand as the most restrictive abortion law in the country if enforced. Her great idea. She invited those who are voting for the bill to consider a bill he is thinking of introducing next year, one that would give mandatory vasectomies to young men, promising an eventual reversal when they reach a point of financial and emotional stability.
I'm still not there.
I would invite you to co-author a bill that I'm considering next year that would mandate that each male, when they reach puberty, get a mandatory vasectomy that's only reversible when they reach the point of financial and emotional stability. Or perhaps viability. The state representative admitted that such a bill was really more to emphasize his criticisms of a crazy restrictive abortion law. If you think that's crazy, then I think that maybe you understand how 50% of Oklahomans feel the Democrats said. Mandatory vasectomies for all young men.
Thank you to Khary Pennebaker. Thank you all for listening to the Devil's Advocates. Evan, thanks for doing double duty. Thank you, Dom. Stick around, Native Roots Radio, then In Pursuit of Sunshine on the radio, and then Rick Smith. Have a great weekend.
Listen to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for progressive news talk radio, bringing you